Okay, let's get started.
Just raise your glasses high. This one's sweet.
Turtle time.
Well, Austin Kroll had no qualms about showing off his dad bod to Sally Carson recently. Well, not quite. Austin lifted up his shirt, and what he showed was actually a dad bod fanny pack that fits 35 shots of Fireball in it. This fanny pack hilariously has hair and a belly button on it, and you can store 35 little Fireball bottles in its creases. Finally, a gag for dads that will leave them squealing with joy, as well as hopefully drunk as a skunk. Amy, could you imagine if you saw someone wearing this fanny pack outside?
I would be shaken. I was more concerned. I know it was a sight gag on him having a hairy pot belly, but then when they cut to Austin's face, I was like, he actually does look like he has just had 35 small bottles of Fireball. He was very sweaty, and I was a little concerned and wondering why Fireball didn't want him to look better to represent the fun of drinking.
That's really interesting thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts back, that I want to talk out of my mouth back at that. I think that they wanted him to have a sort of Fireball, Bender kind of look to him. He really did look like he had at least 3 or 4 of the Fireball mini bottles before he started filming it. And maybe they were offered a lot of free Fireball in that Fireball room that they were in where they filmed this. So it's a little tongue-in-cheek and a wink and a nod to how much fun you could possibly have. And I think that's why Austin looked disheveled and a little kind of, weird and drunk.
Yeah, it was giving disheveled. I get a lot of Sally content. Talk about we always mention Bethany participating in every audio trend you can imagine. Sally is always coming up with new ideas. I just saw her do one the other day where she had a $20 bill and she goes up to the bar and goes, "Can I have 2 10s, please?" And then Austin and Craig come out. She has a content factory with Austin specifically.
And even Craig was in that one too, contrary to what we might think about their relationship. Wait, let me just picture this. Here's a 20. Can you give me 2 10s back, please? And then magically appearing next to her is Craig and Austin, 2 10s on a scale of 1 to 10 attractiveness. That is amazing. Her humor level is high, and she's definitely making, in my opinion, it is, and she's making a lot of great content. She's really capitalizing on the moment. I feel like we all have Sally Carson fever, and Southern Charm is sort of post Sally Carson era, the one that we just recapped. There's kind of a huge divide between the dregs of Southern Charm and now this post Sally era. So fun.
Yeah, she also, she came up last week in the reunion about West having had sex with her. And then, spoilers, she comes up this week because I totally forgot that at some event right before the premiere, her and Kyle made out. So her Bravo roster's up there with the greats.
It's iconic. She's walking around with the Fireball fanny pack everywhere she goes. She's having the time of her life. Kyle and Sally Carson kissing, it's kind of underrated. You don't think about it. Like, what the hell? At the Southern Charm premiere, people were all partying. They got their dad bods out, and then all of a sudden they look over. Craig's like, "Is that Sally Carson kissing Kyle? Are they making out over there?" And then the Megan King Edmund stuff. It's just, this is what a wild time we're living in. So Sally, now we only know Kyle make out, Wes potentially made love, and then not Craig, and then made love to Austin. Although he, remember, pushed back on that. He wouldn't ever admit it, but you've got to think that quite possibly when they were watching all those shows together in bed that they might have had sex, I think.
Right. Yeah, she stays in the news. Speaking of news, I know that last week we were trying to get to the bottom of what was going on with KJ and Dara, which there's still not really any definitive answer. Obviously, on this part of the reunion, they're sitting hand in hand. And she, I'll say it ahead of time, Levi comes and goes pretty quickly without having said much of anything. But she makes space then for Dara, who actually does have something to lend to the conversation. So I thought that was cool. But the only little bit of meat we've gotten about their potential breakup was another poem from KJ. I know we've been graced with some of his prose before, but this week we got one called Heartbreaks and Setbacks. And I'll read it here because I read it last time too. Heartbreaks and setbacks. True love, I've felt that. Love is a rush, but I'm in no rush. Feelings I feel. This time I'll heal. I'm asking God, what is the deal? Heartbreaks and setbacks. True love, I've felt that. Hear my heart beat. Hear my mind speak. I won't be silenced. Moment of silence. For the ones hurting, I'm with you yearning. To love is to live. To live is to give. I give my all, and still I fall. So, something to think about.
Yeah, you just said it. Yeah, that is huge. And to go from like no other, the last one, I'm
Yeah.
shooting off to the moon, spinning around in circles. Will I ever come back down to Earth? I'm shooting like a rocket. Don't ever bring me back down. To this now,
Yeah.
I think it's very clear that this is his way of telling us that him and Dara have split. Because if you're in a relationship with someone and you already have a history of writing poetry, to then post a poem that says heartbreak in the midst of
Yeah.
what we know between them unfollowing each other, I'm just going to take the cues from KJ that he is talking about the heartbreak after losing Dara.
Right. And, you know, I think this happened after, since we've talked last time, he released a single as well that
Yes.
she's in the music video for. It's called like The One or something. It's all about them being in love. And her name is etched into the video itself, but she is not tagged in the post.
Yeah. So there was a moment. So we reacted to that at the time it was happening. It was just starting to be a rumor an hour after we recorded. And then the single came out. And you and I were like, what the fuck? We were like, Turtle Time just released a massive statement declaring a broken relationship. We were like, do we go back and re-record? We were like, we're fucked. And then it was like, it came out and it had Dara in it, but she wasn't tagged within it. So some people were like, was this a promotional thing? People had this theory. I'm not even saying we even thought about it like this, but people were like, could it have been promotion? Unfollow, get the world a buzz, and then drop a fucking single on their heads that is a smash and then says, the doubters were wrong. You know, there's a precedent for this. When Kyle Richards and Morgan Wade put out that amazing song, you could imagine Morgan Wade would have been like putting Instagram stories where she goes, shh, the rumors, don't let the rumors get you down. And it would have gotten to the Bravo zeitgeist and then been promotion for that thing. So people for a second thought, is KJ and Dara playfully hinting that their breakup might have happened, but then it'd be like, look at us. And there's precedent for this even outside of the Bravo realm. This has happened with pop stars before. I can't even think about it, but like there's heavy hitters like MGK and Megan Fox is always the one that comes to mind. Say what you will about Machine Gun Kelly, but he was very, very adept at playing with his fan base and the internet at large to make huge moments surrounding him and Megan Fox because their relationship was so simultaneously derided as well as celebrated.
I mean, I'll never forget that moment. I also want to say, when you said Morgan Wade, you reminded me that I follow the weekly world news, you know, of Bat Boy fame, etc.
Yeah.
And they posted a photo of Morgan Wade who was rocking some of their merch. And I was like, okay, she's really cool.
Did you say? Sorry, you cut off for a second. Did you say Morgan Wade is wearing Bat Boy merchandise from the National Enquirer from their merch section? Is that what you said? And that's really
The
cool.
Weekly World News, which
Oh.
is the publication that
Not-
gets the Bat Boy
course.
scoop. And I'm like, is Kyle Richards low key into weird, funny stuff too?
I think so. You mean like was that something they bonded over? Like if Morgan Wade was wearing a Bat Boy Weekly World News shirt, could they have bonded with Kyle having that sort of irreverent humor as well? I think it's very much a possibility. And I don't know why they're not the first. They're the only first example in Bravo history that I could think of where they played with me a little bit. I was fucking duped. When it was like, do you remember when it was like they had a full blown what's that? Stacy's mom?
Mhm.
It was a full Stacy's mom moment where it was like Kyle Richards was washing the car and Morgan Wade, and it was like, let's give him something to talk about.
Yeah.
So, but then quickly, all that to say is that we quickly learned that this was not just a ruse. I think KJ had a drop ready to go. He was always going to release his single at this moment. It just happened to unfortunately be the day after the dreaded DSW awards. And so whatever happened there, we still don't know. It was bad. It was bad. It was horrible. So then he just went according to plan, which some people do not derail the release of a pop single just because the person in the video that it's dedicated towards has since you've broken up with them.
Yeah.
And then the heartbreak thing now, like, let's just acknowledge that means him and Dara are at least separated for now, I would say.
Right. Yeah, she hasn't, I don't think, posted anything since all of this. I think I want to make a little zine of every single brand deal that has come of this. I think I meant to mention this originally, but we underplayed that KJ showed up to the reunion. His walk from the car to the stage, he was wearing a Jack Link's beef jerky shirt and hat. And then he did some follow-up content for that. And I was like, whoa, we should have given that its due.
It was incredible. We were lost in a lot of different moments, but I'll never forget when he walked out wearing the Jack Link's outfit, and then they posted to their story, as is their wont, and they said, looks like someone ate their jerky this morning. And so I love,
Bulking
I
up
love
for the big day.
Yeah, who just ate jerky, and they had that tongue out smiley face. I love this kind of shit, and actually I'm glad we're talking about it now because it leads perfectly to when we're going to discuss that the Carl's a Mess Uber Eats campaign was actually worthy of some discussion about it, which we'll get to. I'm not speeding ahead, but Dara and KJ, I didn't know them enough to mourn this relationship too much. I mean, I cried obviously when I read his poem, but I'm just saying they have really been in my life for 7 weeks, and they were a tenth of what I thought about when I was watching this Summer House. I think that's safe to say because there was a lot of other shit going on. So they kind of, now them breaking up, it really wasn't like a huge legacy relationship that I mourn. I'm interested to know what happened at the DSW thing because there's some questions that I would like answered, but other than that, I'm sorry. Goodbye to you both. Dara, I think now, after speculating on the future of Summer House and after watching this reunion, I think it's quite possible that Dara will be coming back, and KJ presumably, and they might want to see that dynamic in the Summer House. But Dara, really, like you mentioned, she was fucking shining like a star at this reunion. She has two of the most iconic quotes I've ever seen. So goodbye, KJ and Dara. I loved what I saw, but if you both know better than me what's good for you both, for sure. Who gives a fuck what I think about you? Like, your guys' relationship, it's good if you guys want it to be over.
Right. No, like you said, they were on our radar for a very short period of time, but they reminded us at the reunion, then they had been together 10 months.
Yeah.
So if they just broke up a month after that, it was almost a year, which, that's something.
Yeah, no, 10 months is huge. They're mourning it. That heartbreaks and setbacks. Like, that's a huge deal. 10 months. If I was in a relationship with 10 months, I'm talking about it and crying for a long time. Like it's huge, almost a year. But for us, I have so much vested in their relationship, and it's a little piece of my heart, maybe like the bottom part that pumps my blood. Okay, this was funny. You sent me this. This is going Turtle Time headquarters viral. I loved this moment. Lala, whenever I have Vanderpump Rules Google alerts, and I had to unsubscribe because 7 out of the 10 are Lala says stuff on her podcast. And I'm the biggest Lala head anybody's ever seen. We all know this from last 3 weeks of Turtle Time. But enough, I was kind of like, I don't care about everything that Lala says. It's like it's all getting aggregated to Google alerts, but this one was huge. She goes, Kyle and Amanda. She goes, I don't know anything about them, but I've heard that Kyle is dynamite in the sack, and I'd fuck him if I could anytime. And she goes, oh my God, are we recording this? I don't think we should. I would fuck Kyle because I heard he's really good in bed. And I was like, holy shit. Like, this is a big deal. Lala saying she wants to have sex with Kyle. What did you think about that?
Yeah, sort of out of the blue. Feels a little bit, headline bait, wanting to enter the conversation. I mean, all love to Kyle. Big fan. I find this hard to believe just because I think usually when he's out and about, he's wasted.
Well, I was kind of wondering, where did Lala hear? Because we have Amanda,
Yeah.
for a significant portion of his life, where I only think he cheated on her twice or 3 times during their run and, had sex with other people during their marriage. But other than that, how is Lala getting the scoop? Is this all post separation that now people are
Right.
saying, I'm making love to Kyle and he's amazing at it? And Lala's like, I want to have sex with him if I can. You know what I mean? I was just wondering, how did it get to Lala
Right.
already?
Do you think there's a secret DM from Kyle
Yeah.
somewhere saying, hey, throw me a bone, it'll get you a big headline, I promise you?
Oh, Kyle, are you? Wait, hold on. Sorry, because your mic keeps cutting out. Kyle sent a bone emoji saying, "I'm gonna throw me a bone, or I'll throw you a bone. Say you want to
You
have
scratch my
sex with me."
back and I'll scratch yours.
Oh my God, the scratching emoji and a bone. Throw a dog a bone, Lala. This dog needs a little scratch. If you say you'd want to fuck me, we'll be viral in 2 seconds. Which this didn't really go viral, but
Hey, I
but
got
Turtle.
sent it by a few people.
Oh, you did? Okay, sorry. I did. I'm sorry. I don't mean to discount Lala's virality. It went viral. It's just it kind of leads me back to my old pretense of thinking about Lala, where she kind of does like to get a piece of the headlines, and the podcast is the perfect forum for her to just say whatever the hell she wants. The idea that Lala actually wants to have sex with Kyle, like I'm just picturing them having sex. Like, Kyle, do you want to come over? What's Lala's brother's name? Like, Eastman, can you leave?
Yeah.
Like, Mom, get out of here. Like, I'm having a date. Kyle, can you come to California? Like, let's have sex for a couple nights. I just don't know how true it is if it was the main concern was just to get a little juice for that podcast.
Right.
Is that at all a possibility?
Yeah, I don't see it. Although Lala, whenever she talks about her sex life, she says that she's been having plenty of sex in her single life. So maybe she would just let him in the mix just to see. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah. I think it's worthwhile for us to know that Kyle makes love good. Like, we never knew.
Amanda was
and
missing out all those years.
4 years. And Kyle's like, can you believe what I can do in the sack? He's like, 4
I'd
years?
make your head spin.
He's like, don't you remember how I used to make love, Amanda? So this is interesting. Let us know your thoughts. This is I'm conflicted and I don't know enough about it, but it's really, at least we know forever we got the quote, I want to have sex with Kyle from Lala.
Yeah. Did you also see, just really quickly, not much to say, that Stassi walked in that Sports Illustrated fashion show and Kyle commented, Steve Jobs, who?
He knows the perfect thing. He knows the perfect phrase to say that will get Page Six and virtual reality to boost it up. It was perfect. He goes, Steve Jobs, who? ? And it's remarking on, one of the biggest comments that Kyle has ever said to Stassi in that hot tub. I just got back from Miami Swim Week. It was
How was
incredible.
it?
A lot of people in their swimsuits. It was really fun. I was just like, whoa, that kind of swimsuit. But it was great, and happy to be back though. It was hot. But anyway, lastly, this is going to segue perfectly. Oh, actually, sorry. Change of plans. I want to talk about Dorit's favorite books first, and then we talk about the last news item that is going to sync perfectly up with talking about Summer House.
Okay.
Dorit's favorite books were launched. This was made as part of Page Six's coverage to promote Unburdened, her new book. I want to spotlight whenever a Bravo celebrity writes a book. I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. Her favorite books, you are going to flip. I'm going to ask you to just name one that you think is on the list, and I think you'll get it right. Just name one book that you think that Dorit loves. Just one hint, it's not the Bible. But just name one book, and I think you might land it. So just tell me what you think.
Eat, Pray, Love.
No. No, not at all.
Can I have a hint?
Do you
think I can actually get it?
Two of them are the most popular books in the world. In the
Da
top,
Vinci Code?
it's so close to Da Vinci Code. We don't have to do this for very long. In the top 10. Okay. It's not Harry Potter, but do you remember that the Sorcerer's Stone needed to be sort of welded in a way to sort of make a metal turn to a different metal? Do you know what that's called when metals are
The
shaped and shaped?
Alchemist?
Yes. Is that called alchemy? I was trying to give you a hint. That's alchemy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so good. Oh, good. Thank God. So The Alchemist is number one,
Wow.
and then we don't have to go through the rest. But it's a really good list. Go to Page Six. Two of them are what everyone would think. I know a lot of books are running in people's minds, and then you'll be delighted by some of the other ones. It's very fun, but I don't want to spoil the rest. So we can move on. Is that okay?
You don't want to share?
Okay, I'll tell you the rest. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The beautiful. You really by
Read
Eckhart
it.
Tolle? Really? Was it good?
The Power of Now, A New Earth. Did it during my Oprah era, obviously. She had
Oh.
a whole thing about it.
Oh, that is so amazing. Okay, this is the one that I know is on a lot of people's bookshelves. The Four Agreements. I
Mhm.
went through my childhood life, and every parent's bookshelf had the Four Agreements on it, and I was like, what the hell is this? And Dorit is saying that's one of her favorite books. Tom Ford's autobiography by Tom Ford, and then The Beautiful Fall by Alicia Drake. Do you know that book?
No.
Okay. Well, I don't either. But I think that this is a really, I always think that these book choices sort of give you a peek into someone a little more, just instead of just the Bravo landscape. So I was really happy to see that. And that's it. I mean, I don't have any, except congratulations to Dorit on publishing that book, Unburdened. I can't wait to check that out.
Good for her. Glad she's reading, doing some self-help, some big questions to reflect on in the Eckhart Tolle books. So yeah.
Great. And then last, but certainly not least, Lindsay and Carl, those two people that you and I have been on a sort of kind of a roller coaster with in terms of their relationship and the stuff that they've done. Well, apparently after the Carl's a Mess campaign and all they've been through as Summer House cast members, and also after the conversation that we watched in the finale of Summer House, Lindsay has decided to go on Carl's podcast, More Life, and they even posted a major promo photo where they're almost in an embrace, and it set the internet on fire for 2 full days.
Yeah. I'm happy that they're in a good place. We're going to talk about at the reunion. I honestly almost cried at one of their interactions where Lindsay says some really nice stuff about Carl. I'm happy with that. But when I saw this photo, she sort of has her hand on his chest. It's very intimate. And I was like, I don't like this development. I'm like, we can still have a boundary in place. I'm a little worried that I'm like, you guys can just be cordial. You can be friendly, but I get a little concerned because the entire internet, as we talked about, a lot of people are like, I think they should get back together. And I'm like, obviously not. Absolutely no fucking way. And then when they start doing stuff like this, I'm like, I hope that they're not getting it in their heads that he should be the dad that stepped up.
I don't, yeah, I don't know what to. I don't know what to say about this except the very obvious, which is that they should never be in another relationship again. And I was a little worried at Carl's eyes darting towards Lindsay. I know Carl's face like a fucking the Four Agreements, and he was looking at her, and she had her hand basically up his shirt with her fingers coming out the neckline. And I was like, no, no, no. Yeah,
Showing
I
you
see
too.
it. Where's the other hand? The
On
other
his
hand
butt.
too? On his butt? It's like, I think that it progressed at the right time for Lindsay to forgive Carl for whatever she needs to forgive
Yeah.
him for. Carl already was there with an open, beautiful heart waiting to forgive. I think it's great that Lindsay got to the point where she can forgive. But obviously, I always have one eye sort of like looking like this at Lindsay, where I'm just like, you are just, she's perfect at sort of capitalizing on a moment. And this couldn't come out at a better time. Just show the solidarity between the OGs of Summer House because of how horrible they think Amanda is. And also the finale just aired, so they got their conversation. So now in viewers' minds, we're ready for them to talk again. And so I'm totally happy. It's what I dreamed of, that Carl and Lindsay could be friends again, because I always loved their friendship. But don't you dare, Carl. Oh my God. I'm going to DM him. I'm going to say, Carl, whoever Bravo fans are whispering in your ear like worm tongue that you need to get back with Lindsay Hubbard, absolutely not. Don't even kiss again, I would say.
No.
I would be worried. They will be the best friends for life. They'll be like, what's that show, 4 Seasons?
The Four Agreements.
Yeah, what is that tenant in the four? What's one of the 4 agreements? Friends for life, but never date. It's incredible. I'm happy for them, but also very cautious about, because they still have a lot of, I'm sure, pain and hurt there. So I don't want them to shoot up like a rocket ship and like make this a thing, like they're Austin Madison or something again.
Yeah. I do think, you can see that little evil twinkle in her eye where I do think that she goes, let's pose like this. It'll really get people talking. So I think she knows what she's doing. I hope that it's simply for publicity and the audience fan fulfillment and not reality. But
me too.
Who fucking knows?
Who knows? Who knows? I never thought Kyle would kiss Megan King Edmonds, and here we are talking about it. What was the song? Was there a song? Because if there's a song, if there's like a song and it's something that alludes to something, then now I'm like, oh, do I have to think about this a little more?
I don't see a song.
Okay.
I don't think so.
All right. That's better. But, for people who want Carl and Lindsay to get back together, what the hell are you thinking?
Seriously, take a good look at yourself.
Speaking of horrible, horrible things, we have to talk about the Summer House reunion part 2. You and I've watched this now twice. I watched this with a fine-tooth comb. I'm like Sherlock Holmes with Watson on this one. I know everything about it. It was shocking, scandalous, crazy, fun, and it's got to be one of the best part 2s of a reunion in Bravo history. And I thought we were going to have a full-blown hammock on our hands. Start high. Everybody knows a hammock. Low, shitty part 2 with nothing to talk about. And then part 3 was going to ramp up. Part 2 is fucking better than part 1, in my opinion. There is so much shit to unpack here, and it's as contentious as ever. Most of it, 90% of it, maybe 80% of it, is still West and Amanda versus the world, which I thought was that was a surprise to me. I didn't think that it would be that powerful in the arc of the reunion.
Sure. And I think there's still plenty, like, it could have been 4 parts, frankly. I
Yeah.
never say that, but I think there would have been enough.
I think there would have been enough too. This was a big deal. I mean, yeah, this I don't know if I'm just being hyperbolic because it just landed on us. But I was just like, I was going nuts. I was screaming. I was texting. I was like being a little weird stinker about it. I was like, this is really wild to me. So let's get into it. Let's unpack this thing. It starts exactly where you think it would. The moment after last week's when Sierra called Amanda weak, a weak human, and then Kyle goes, "That's a little harsh," and Amanda is welling up with tears, and Kyle is getting tears by proxy by knowing how that would hurt Amanda or seeing her cry, and so we're right there
Yeah.
in that moment.
Yes. He says something later that I think is a good measure of how he's feeling, where he says he keeps vacillating between concern for Amanda and betrayal. So he sort of, he has these moments where he's sad, almost crying to himself, worried about her, and then getting pissed. So I'd say throughout this part, we see both ends of that spectrum. And Lindsay chimes in, of course, throughout. Here she says, continuing on West fucking over his girlfriends, Lindsay says, he's definitely going to do it to you. I got so close to Amanda this season for once, because obviously they have a storied past. And she says that she feels bamboozled, but still protective. And here Kyle brings up Miha, who is I'd say, quite important figure in the painting of West's character and how he treats ladies, because Sierra's been in contact, Kyle's been in contact, and it's a big part of the timeline of his availability, cheating, lying,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah. The reveal or whatever is that Kyle and Sierra are both very knowledgeable about West timeline with Miha. And it's a huge deal. And obviously she comes back in a huge way towards the end of this thing. But then they know everything. They've been DMing and messaging Miha this entire time. So Kyle brings that up. Wes says it's been public who I've hooked up with, kind of a little bit of a half-assed attempt to get ahead of Miha. And Lindsay says, you are a pathy. We believe nothing you say. And I said, a pathy?
I
go,
wasn't sure. I was like, is that a thing that we say?
I say, do we say this and will we be saying it now? Is pathy a pathological liar? Is she trying to create the new term? Did she just hear it? Do we have to now think about what that means? But she basically just calls him a pathological liar, which I'm like, okay, well, there's really no coming back from that. If you're never going to believe anything he says for the rest of the reunion, then he's kind of done. I mean, so I was just like, that was surprising. But then she said it by calling him a pathy. I was like, not everybody's going to know what the hell that meant.
No.
So I think she's saying pathological. Yeah. I'm pretty sure pathological liar. But do we need a new term? Do we need
pathy? It's not that great. I don't know. It doesn't really stick. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to really enter the lexicon.
We just got past gaslight, and then we got narcissist.
It's not going to catch on like that. I don't think. No.
Okay.
But yeah, his answer did suck. He was like, it's well known who I hook up with every once in a while. And I'm like, I mean, that was not, again, he wasted his breath, his time to speak was a waste on that one, because later we get the information that she was at his house basically the entire summer while he was filming, that he said, I love you, that, there's way more to the story. So I'm like, you were just hooking up from time to time. There's no more to that story. I don't think so, honey.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge or unpack what Lindsay meant, but no, Wes does himself no favors there with whatever he was trying to say. KJ says, can I please, have a moment here? And everybody goes, yes, please, KJ. And he says that Wes' behavior reminds him of his dad,
Mhm.
who is a womanizer and who lies all of the time and kind of treated his mom like shit. So he is especially sensitive to people acting like this. And that Wes sort of his behavior reminded him of that, which I thought was a interesting perspective. And I didn't really
Mhm.
know that about KJ's dad. So it makes sense why he's been hit so hard by this. And then he brings up Sierra's discussion at the table where her and KJ and Mia all talked about what it's like to be a Black cast member on Bravo and just
Yeah.
how hard it is and how there's more nuance to it than you could ever even imagine, and that they have to deal with so much more shit than a white cast member does. And so KJ says, knowing that conversation, I can't. It was really hard for me to see you treat Sierra that way. So he's
Yeah.
kind of saying like how could you have heard that conversation and then still treated her very badly? And Andy kind of acknowledges that in the room at how beautiful that conversation was, and thank you for edifying us all. And he gets West and Amanda's reaction to that.
Yeah. Sierra also goes on to say, none of them here, at least historically, she was the first Black cast member, have to experience what she does. And she says she's not going to sugarcoat it anymore. And she brings up that any friends that she has, she wants to be having in this political climate. She needs to be able to talk about race. She needs to be talking about what's going on in the world. There's so much turmoil right now. She needs to be able to talk about that stuff. And they talk about how West had originally said, I see you more than I did before. And she said she believed it originally, but now doesn't. And that she said something that a lot of people brought up online, that him and Amanda were using these buzzwords like, I see you, I hear you. And a lot of people were wondering, because there was that FaceTime that she was on with Amanda when West came in, and then they had their heart to heart right after that. And they were using all the same terms, and people were wondering if they were communicating about how he should talk to Sierra. So I just thought that was interesting that she sort of clocked that too. Obviously, like, the racial component was such a big part of this, you know, scandal, if we'll call it that. But I think that I was wondering when Sierra was talking about that she needs with her close friends to be able to talk about the political climate, because she's pretty, you know, socially active online about being passionate about these topics. And West is too. If you follow him on Twitter, he is always posting about Trump stuff, what's going on, ICE, etc. And so I was wondering when she was talking about that, if that's kind of one thing that brought them together, is that she liked that he was interested in that stuff. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, people, but I haven't really seen Amanda ever really get into anything like that. So I wonder if that's one deficit in their relationship, that she doesn't really talk about anything like that I can tell.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe Sierra is subtly saying that that's something that some of her friends, can talk about, but that maybe she has certain people who she's in the room with now who she can't engage, on that level with. Yeah, and then it sort of goes back into talking about the hurt that Amanda and West have caused after that, and Amanda acknowledges that she had a hard time coming to Sierra with this information, knowing that the Mija and other kissing stuff and that West was not committed to her at that point, that it was just more embarrassing to admit that she was hooking up with West. And Mia goes, yeah, it is embarrassing. And then I think Amanda, after the weak comment 30 minutes ago, which is what Kyle says, and then that sort of combination with it being embarrassing to her causes Amanda to check out and have to take a break, a long break.
Yeah.
Almost
Maybe like
20
the
minutes.
longest in like Housewives history, fucking long.
20, like, I don't, we'll get to how long it was probably, but it was probably really long. Like, they're all kind of like, it derails things a little bit. Andy has to start a segment, stop a segment. So who knows if it was like an hour or something in real time. But then that's when there's a little bit of, again, the ire of the cast members comes out because they're like, Amanda left and West is left there, and they're like, go after your fucking girl, dude. Why isn't her boyfriend going after her? You know, Sierra says it too. You should go after your girl. And you know, West looks bad, I guess, because everything he does looks bad in this scenario. But I also think it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, in a way. Like, you know, he acknowledges he thought there was going to be more questions. Like, if he would have ran after her, I think that would have looked bad as well. So I wasn't fully in on the, like, you know, be a fucking man, you piece of shit. Be a real man and get up,
Yeah.
or whatever.
I don't, he says at one point, he's like, if I would have gotten up, you guys would have given me shit for that too, which is probably true, but I did kind of enjoy them being like, well, like, that's your chick, go help her. And he's like, like, he's like, fuck. And he like does just because they force him to. And then it's not that fruitful. And he comes back and Andy's like, what's the update? And he's like, she just needed to take a beat. I'm like, yeah, we know.
Yeah. No, yeah. There's just, you know, like a lot of this conversation, there's just nothing that anybody will give any points to Amanda and West about. But that one, to me, like, I'm like, go get your chick and stuff. I'm like, what are we in, Greece? Like, is this the Vipers versus the Thunderbolts or whatever? Like, and then Lindsay, like, be a fucking man up, but her screaming about it was just so ridiculous to me.
I know.
And West kind of fires back, and you know, for people who are like, you know, he mumbling, he sucks. He's like, he kind of is outraged for a second and shows his viewpoint, which is that you're going to make fun of us for whatever. You're going to think it's the worst, most evil shit in the world, whether or not I do this. But then I will say, when he does go backstage, I did not appreciate when Amanda is like crying, and he was like, she says the comments cut really deep, and he's like, if you have to cry on stage. And I was like, Amanda doesn't need any advice from you, West, on how to handle a reunion. None. She's done this. She has 10 times more, literally, expertise in this situation than you do. And it fuels the points of the other cast members that you're doing things for an image. Amanda should cry wherever the hell she wants. And if she didn't want to cry on stage and cry in the back room and say, I want 5 minutes where I just bawl my eyes out, that is perfectly acceptable. And if we get weeping on the mic, then that's how Bravo handles it. But I'm just saying, in no way was that good advice. And it actually makes West look worse to be sort of stage handling Amanda, because it's directly what they're being accused of.
The king of the reunion, as we all call him. He's so good at reunions. But
yeah, you're right. Like, no, he has handled himself, people agree, pretty badly at 2 out of the 3 that he was on.
I know that this is like betraying my core beliefs, but I have been a little bit getting a kick out of Lindsay here. She's so outraged and indignant. She's like, I've had this whole group come after me year after year after year, and I've never left the stage. Like, I feel like we always talk about this, her and Kyle are just producers, you know? Like, at one point when Amanda's gone, she literally goes to Andy, I think we should all take a break. I think that makes more sense. And he's like, all right, we'll take a break. I was like, she just called the break. Like, she just like made that decision, basically.
I think she at that point, she knows enough about the rules to where if there's 15 or 20 minutes, she's like, we should all just do it. And Andy agrees. It's a long one. There's a little bit of back and forth. Jesse does ask Kyle at one point, he was like, did Amanda ask you to chill things out? You know, because you're kind of, I guess he's assuming that Kyle's like defending her for a reason. And Kyle's like, no, this is the attitude I would have no matter what. And he's like, he knows her. This is how he feels about it. So kind of tamping down that this might be like a team effort between Kyle and Amanda to do damage control.
Yes. Also on this break, everyone sort of rallies around Kyle, and he brings up the Miha stuff and says that he has receipts about her and Wes dating since February 2025. So we'll get to that. Levi is out. Dara is in. Did Levi talk besides getting introduced?
That is a really funny question, because in my mind, no. And for her to have the exact same impact, this is not to say anything bad about Levi, because I like her, but for her to have her moment overshadowed by the rest of the cast on the reunion, when she had a perfect forum for her to say her piece, is kind of funny. I guess she talked about, I don't remember what she said. She talked about her and Bailey's friendship, but obviously that whole segment got derailed, and now it was like, bye, Levi. Which I
know. I'm like, I'd be thinking I got all dolled up for this, but hey, I think she'll be back. I assume, again, it's impossible to hypothesize what the hell is going to go on, but I do think that they know that Bailey and Levi are a sort of duo, and I think people like them. So I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. That's on the cusp for me. I don't know. They would have every justification in the world to handle that either way. I could definitely see. It's like, I don't know, but I just feel bad that she got such a kind of a edit that just did not include her in anything, even at the reunion. I wanted to just say about the Miha timeline really quick, because they have a huddle. Everyone goes towards Kyle, and Wes kind of has to just sulk off alone. And Kyle goes, the main thing, I want to focus on is this Miha shit, because he knows, he has firsthand knowledge of this timeline. And the February 2025 thing is a big deal. That's now last year in February. So he went through the entire filming of this season of Summer House, seemingly in a relationship. So that means that he would have, no matter what, been accounting for some sort of cheating on this show, no matter what. If he was in a Miha exclusive relationship, which is what she says and what it was defined as, then he was going to be taken to task for kissing that person when he was rubbing his fingers on her, and then also Sierra make out and the thing. So he had multiple times where he was committing, cheating this summer. So just really that really adds a lot to the timeline now, that he would have been accounting for something no matter what here.
Totally. Yeah, and I'll save it for the very end because it's the final thing, and I'm sure it'll really hit heavy next week. But the stuff that he supposedly said to her, I think plays a big part in this. So we will get there. We get Dara talking about her and KJ. She says it's the strongest relationship she'll ever have, implying together forever, which sadly, as we watch, we know is not the case.
Oh, she said more than that.
Go on.
She said, Andy said 10 months now, and she said not congruently, but we're hitting that point where we're reflecting back at the starting point, and it's crazy to imagine how much we've gone through up until now, and it's even crazier to know that this is the strongest relationship I'll probably ever have. It feels really nice. I was like, damn. I was like, wow.
There's a lot to unpack there.
A lot. That was a lot of words to say that we're doing great. I was like, what does congruently mean? That's why I was saying earlier, this is a mystery, this relationship timeline, because it got so overshadowed by everything else that I'm kind of just interested in whenever. I think KJ did do more life today. We didn't get a chance to listen to it, but I do. And he probably isn't talking about the breakup because it was probably recorded before, but I am interested in what happened, along the way here. But they love it. And like you said though, it's sadly, we now know it has ended. And Andy says, Dara, you have a unique perspective in this whole thing because you dated West. And West is now alone on the couch. No Amanda. What is your take? And these next two statements of Dara's assessment are pretty amazing because it's pretty succinct, well thought out. She says, I think that I'm going to be honest. I don't see you waking up and be like, this is the relationship you stand up for and man up for. You like to be thought of as a good guy, but you treat the women that give themselves to you like they're expendable. And everyone kind of loves it on the other side
Yeah.
of the couch mostly. Sierra's like, God damn. She's like, that was like amazing. And they all regret that Amanda can't be there for it. And even West acknowledges,
Mhm.
he says, I agree. That's,
Mhm.
that's a good point to make. He doesn't push back at all that he's
Mhm.
been frivolous, flippant, and treated people that he's been in relationships with badly, ultimately because he's either selfish, doesn't care about them as much. And then Dara has firsthand knowledge of this because she
Yeah.
dated him, and they never really got into the specifics of what ended their relationship, but you can imagine that it was something close to this. Like, it was getting to a level of seriousness, and then eventually it was like, I don't think that this is working out anymore. Let's just be best friends. And Dara might have
Yeah.
felt this way as well. I'm not
Yeah.
like assuming that, but it's possible.
No, I want to go back to when they first introduced her because she did say something about it at the time, like, like you can only ever get so far with West, or like it can only ever be so serious with him. Like I remember her saying something like that whenever her first episode was.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I want to
And then
revisit that.
me too. And then it gets a little, like I said, Andy's kind of like, fuck. He's like, oh, I can't do this without Amanda. He's like, shit. This question's about Amanda. He's like, okay, the KJ and Ben segment, everybody, right? And he's like, he has to start the next one pretty much
B
without
team.
Amanda.
He's like, I really want to ask the hard hitting questions, but now I have to talk about Ben.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see that Bailey had to post about, she was like, please stop giving Sabrina hate. I love her so much. Like the whole her going off on Ben apparently spiraled into this whole internet thing that she had to be like, stop. But it really does seem that everyone, whatever about Ben, but they all like Sabrina got in. Like everyone really likes her.
Oh yeah, they love Sabrina. Oh yeah. Oh no, she's doing great, and they're everyone is pretty happy. Even though I think they all assume that Ben and Sabrina were dating the whole time. They don't really care because it's like love found a way or whatever. And Ben gives a little update. He got a hug from his dad for the first time since he was 19. I thought this story was really sweet. He brought back Sabrina to Australia, and Sabrina said, I'm going to hug your dad morning, noon, and night. Before second breakfast, before afternoon tea, and evening supper. 11sies and after supper. And she goes, her precedent for hugging blew my dad's hair back off his head, because he's now acclimating to putting his hands around someone, and it made him start to put his feelers out on his son. And it started out with a touch, like just like, good job, son, like I touch your shoulders. And then he got a full-blown bear hug where his dad picked him up off the ground and spun him around at the end of it. So that was kind of sweet. Sabrina was so loving that
He couldn't resist.
he just was like, if this is how hugging can be, I'll hug my damn son who committed, what's it called when you premarital sex? Oh, who committed the sin of premarital sex when he was 17 or whatever the fuck Ben did. It's like,
Can you imagine going to your boyfriend's house a million miles away for the first time, and he hasn't spoken to his dad for years and years, and they have a very contentious relationship, and you're like, can I give you a hug? I'm gonna hug you every day.
yes, I can. Yes, I can. I'm like, rules for thee, but not for me. What's the no hugging contract here? I'm just going to hug you. I don't know the rules. I'm sure she had heard that, but she's kind of like, my rules include hugging family members. You know what I mean? You get a blank slate when you come into a family. You're like, I riff like this. I treat you like this. So Sabrina is acknowledging, I'm a damn hugger, Ben's dad. Get
Yeah.
ready. I'm going to be hugging you like crazy. I mean, he got the result that they wanted. Ben got the
I guess
coveted
so,
dad
yeah.
hug.
Yeah, I'd be like, can we stay at an Airbnb if you don't get along with your dad? I don't want to stay there.
Oh, really? Oh, like,
I mean, that sounds horrible. Why were they
Oh.
even staying with him if he hasn't hugged him in 15 years? That's crazy to me.
oh, I'd be like a reverse Meet the Parents. I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to solve it. I'm trying to be like, what was that horrible history you have? It's been how long since you talked to your aunt? Like, I love that kind of shit. I love messing up other families. and ruining the dynamics or also making them better. It's a fun, but I get what you mean. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are shaking their heads at my theory on this. But I got to say, Ben's dad, you're a terrible, terrible dad. You using your religion, which I'm not saying anything bad about religion, but that you've treated your son like shit for 30 years because he had sex with his girlfriend in high school or whatever is just absolutely awful. If you believe in hell, then you will quite possibly be going to hell for
Damn.
that. No, I'm serious. You're going to go to hell for that. You don't know God's ways. So
Sabrina can't fix that.
no, all the hugs in the world can't stop this dad from going to hell.
I mean, who knows? She's quite charming. She could get a little lace choker for Satan himself. Maybe he'd like it. Maybe he'd make a few tweaks for her.
Damn. You're saying Satan? You're saying Satan
Hey,
will be like, I'm gonna
She can
change.
charm everybody.
Damn, truly rules for thee, but not for me. Because then he's like, my rules have you going to hell, but Ben's dad, I didn't know Sabrina was coming down to charm the pants off me. Anyway, that's a little bit about religion and heaven and hell. Then Andy goes, KJ, what the hell did you think when Ben and Sabrina started dating? And he goes, who am I to judge? Because he was dating Sabrina at that point. Kind of funny.
Yeah. I also want to say that, we watched the screeners. I wish that we could commentate on the uncut stuff because it looks like there's some fun little things. I got some TikToks and stuff about how West was clicking his tongue and doing weird stuff. And I'm like, I want to see that stuff, but we'll have to comment on it later because we have to watch it as we get it. So we're just going with the plain regular edition, not the spicy hot version.
Yeah, no cursing, like nothing like that. Yeah, it was like, why is Wes doing the flappy lips motion? He was going, he was pulling on his ears, making noises, going. He was doing every mouth sound you can do. And Amanda goes, what'd you say? She goes, stop doing that stuff with your mouth. Because he was, but I didn't, yeah, you're right. If there's 5 minutes of the funniest shit you've ever seen and we didn't comment on it, it's because we're screener heads.
We're
Does that
for
make-
speed
Yeah.
first. Okay, Amanda finally comes back after forever. There go. Dara just said some really cool shit. Dara, can you say it again for her? And she says it even better the second time.
10 times better. And it was already good. This is the best. This is the best. Well, I don't know about the best part of the reunion because there's other more entertaining, shocking revelations and stuff. But I was so proud of Dara for delivering this monologue directly to Amanda. And there's not really much you can say to poke holes in it. She says, again, to say it more eloquently the second time was really a feat.
The economy of words.
It was incredible. They were like, did Shakespeare just put his quill to pad?
I dropped my red pen to the ground. No notes.
No notes, baby. No, the biggest pattern in his life is that it is the West Show, and it will always be the West Show. And his biggest concern is being well-liked and well-received. And he doesn't prioritize treating the women he is linked to romantically with the same respect that he does anybody else in his life. And I just foresee him for a very long time wanting someone who will mold and fold and fit into his life without excuse or complaint. And it's up to you to decide what's worth breaking, sacrificing, and losing for that kind of person. I really don't think I've ever heard a better speech in Bravo history. I mean, writing it down, it's better than what I could write. And she said it out loud. And I really don't even have to sort of be nuanced about this because this is exactly what West already agreed to. And it's now for Amanda's ears. And I think no matter what you think about this entire situation, the idea that Amanda might have sacrificed a wonderful friendship with Sierra for someone who is not going to be in a relationship with her for more than 3 months is a big sort of moral scale that you need to evaluate. And that is Dara saying to her, I unfortunately predict, given what I know, that you might have sacrificed and broken a lot for someone who is going to break up with you very soon, once it gets even serious for 1 second. So Amanda had to hear that from Dara.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. I feel like even hearing you read it again now, it is like you're in Microsoft Word and you're
Oh,
like, okay, am I gonna say like what was it? It was like when she said fold, what did she say before fold?
mold?
Mold and fold.
It's mold and fold. Like even I swear, mold and fold and fit, and then breaking and sacrificing and losing the perfect amount of what are those adjectives to make it
Yeah,
more impactful. No, it was awesome. She coined the West Show, which that's like
that's
one for the fucking
perfect.
books. The West Show. I mean, this is when. Sorry, I preempted it. This is when Sierra goes, "Okay, damn girl." She goes, "Get him," and Sierra is
Yeah.
nodding at the end of this, and they give this some of the most iconic music I've ever heard as Dara says this, and as they all sort of just sit back and let that wash over Amanda and Wes specifically. Best like cut to commercial ever. Like
Yeah.
I guess I didn't know Dara for shit. Like
I
this
know.
was fucking incredible. And I think that we never got to hear her perspective on West because
Mhm.
nobody thought that it mattered what West's ex thought about him because there was nothing to really talk about. But now that we have her talking about her relationship, it's that much more impactful because it's the main thing that we're actually talking about here.
Right. Yeah. There was no ill will between them in a casual sense. He was like, come on the show and date whoever you want. Like, I'm bringing you on as a cast member. I like you still. And she was cool with him despite whatever happened between them. So, yeah, but this is amazing. It also expands upon how the episode ended last week, where Sierra, who is, you know, really pissed at Amanda, of course. So when she said it was hard hitting and pointed, but it was essentially the same message. She was saying
Yeah.
he wants someone who won't ask any questions, who will be by his side and just let him be the star of the show. She said the exact same thing, but since it's coming from a third party, Amanda just has to eat it, and she can't even be defensive because it's like, yeah, she literally dated him, so she knows. And then when she says it's the West show, Andy has an amazing follow-up. It's fucking perfect. He goes, with what we're all thinking, what we've all been saying this whole time as the audience. He goes, Amanda, it would be interesting if you just went directly from the Kyle show to the West show. And even Amanda, through her looted out haze or whatever's going on, she's like, yeah. Like you can tell she's like, well, fuck me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was good for him to say Kyle show to the West show. And I'm always interested in what Andy thinks about it, but I just like, what are we really trying to say? Like I liked that Dara coined the West show and that Andy loved it so much. And I'm presuming that the Kyle show is that Kyle was going fucking nuts and Amanda felt what? Like that she did not have a voice in that relationship. I'm like, what does the Kyle show mean? Like
That they're like peacock party bros who are selfish and want to do whatever they want, and she just is by their side, sitting at home, not empowered. She never felt empowered with Kyle. That is what they're all warning her that her future path will be. She's, always saying it's all about your dreams. I never get to pursue my passions. I never get to pursue what I want to do. It's all about you being the star of the show. Like, I think no one would disagree that Kyle is like the shining light of the show
Yeah.
who is, doing whatever he wants.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes more sense to me. If it was more like everything is centered around Kyle, then I would quibble with that because of what that means in terms of like Amanda's impact on the relationship. But if you just mean like they always need to be the center of attention and they're so, I don't know, always striving and doing a bunch of shit, which is that now it's comparing Wes to Kyle and that sort of
Yeah.
sensibility, then that makes sense to me. And then Kyle goes, well, my show wasn't all bad, was it? And
And Amanda goes, what? There have been multiple times when Kyle has said something across the couch and she's gone, huh?
well, for me, that was more like, do you really want to start talking about the Kyle show? For me.
I think she didn't hear him because her eyes were closed.
Oh, I think Kyle got a little bit of hubris here. And he
Yeah.
has hubris for the next 30 minutes, which we'll talk about. This was the best part of the reunion after Dara's beautiful, wonderful monologue. I really enjoyed the sort of Kyle verse West and
Mhm.
Amanda. Lynn's of this whole thing, but he goes, it wasn't that bad. And Andy goes, it had its moments, Kyle, which is kind of funny to remember that these are all people with pasts and histories, and Kyle certainly has a past. But Andy goes, no, now I have to go back to the Jesse part of the lover boy segment. What'd you think about this? You want to go over this deeply?
I think we can be breezy. I thought it was sweet. He's very emotional, obviously, this entire reunion, but specifically here, he's pretty teary. He talks about how he misread the situation with Sierra, that he caught feelings and then fucked it up, that it wasn't a joke, but it's his nature to joke. He says that his best friend's Falling in Love with Your Best Friend song is not about West or Amanda or Sierra. He said he wrote it a long time ago.
Mhm.
Sierra gets a jab in. They can play it at their wedding now. Amanda gets pissed. She like rolls her eyes. And he talks about his tour, how hard it's been. Kyle supports him because he goes, a lot of people are dogging on Jesse pursuing his dreams.
Yeah.
And I think Kyle's like, I can relate. I'm pursuing my passions. Got a lot of flack for that, but good on ya. And
Yeah.
Jesse like cries. He's like, I appreciate the support. And it's sweet. He's like, he reminds us that he went to music school and that he's grateful to be able to do this. And I was like, you know what? You do you, Jesse.
Yeah, beautiful. You know me. I was on the train for whatever Jesse wanted to shovel out. I was like, that beautiful piano rendition of Guess I'll Start. I was crying. I was like, this is this reunion, this part. I'm like, it was amazing. Guess I'll start falling in love. And I love that they acknowledged the trolls. That
Yeah.
they were like, he goes, it's another thing when we write novelty songs, but when you pour your whole heart at it and the trolls still climb up the tree to try to slice you and down, he goes, that's shocking to your ego. So then Jesse cries because he's like, I've been dealing with trolls for months. Thank you, Kyle. Do you think if Jesse's song I'm in Love with My Best Friend played at West and Amanda's wedding, that the audience would groan a little bit?
The audience at the wedding or
Yeah.
us?
Like, would they be like, no, we're not, we probably wouldn't, I don't think that'll be filmed, but I'm just saying if you were at the wedding, like if I got invited, and they were like, and you heard, I'm in love with my best friend.
It should be looks like we made it.
Oh, absolutely. A little Set the Jackson, Britney famous, beautiful song.
Yes.
But I was thinking if they did ironically, is this ironic? I don't even know irony anymore, but I think that even some staunch lovers of Wes and Amanda's would be like, oh, you played Jesse's song. I don't even know
Yeah.
that song. Guess I'll start falling in love with my best friend.
It's something because I saw him live. It's something about like being your friend's overrated. Like
damn.
it's like I don't want to just be your friend anymore, kind of a thing.
Oh, okay. Well, that is amazing. I didn't need any defense of Jesse's beautiful music. And also I thought it was interesting that Jesse did acknowledge that he had feelings for Sierra, and he was like, but I was way off.
Yeah. I will say this next portion, Carl and Lindsay, I mean, I guess we should just get into it because it's kind of a lot going on here. But Andy's like, Carl, how was the summer of Carl? How is Soft Bar doing? He says they were profitable last month. They have had highs and lows. It's hard, but the fact that they've already made money, I think, is pretty good. And they talk about how it meant the world to him that Lindsay came, and he keeps that teddy bear in his office. And we get to Lindsay saying something nice without a dig. She doesn't even try to get a dig in. She just says, a lot of his growth and success she's seen just through the show as a viewer, and that he seems way more confident in his skin, and that it's a beautiful thing to see, and that he's finally the person he's supposed to be and always wanted to be. And I was like, why am I getting choked up? Like, not just because, not for her, but like, I feel for him that them being friendly takes such a weight off of his back.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was such a heavy burden for him, feeling guilty about breaking off the wedding and how much flack he got for it, even though I stand 10 toes down that he didn't do anything wrong. And so it's kind of annoying that he still has to go. He says it here, for everything I've done to her and treated her. I'm like, you didn't do anything. Like, I'm
No.
sorry. I will
You
still
did
say that.
You did yourselves both a fucking favor, the favor of a lifetime. You're both getting
Yeah.
to heaven for that one. Like, no, Carl, seriously, yeah. I was less actually enamored with this moment. I'm glad you loved it, but I was just like, I don't give a fuck when Lindsay started to see Carl in a different light. He's been a shining
Yeah.
ball of light for 3 years, and he was wonderful to break up with you. It was grace and beauty what he did, and I
Yeah.
felt that way. And the fact that the Bravo fan base just fucking flies around at whim, doing whatever the hell it wants, and was berating Carl for breaking up with Lindsay after she accused him of doing coke. Was a horrible moment, and we were always on Carl's side. So great that Lindsay has finally found solace in her relationship with Carl, but he's been a beacon of light for a long time. Glad you finally see it, though.
Yeah, totally. I'm relieved on his behalf and it does give you weird hope of, when they just started getting friendly like a month ago, which you could say, like we said at the beginning of the hour, she knows what she's doing by,
Yeah.
she's knows that it will be an item if they start being friendly again. But it is a reminder that nothing is forever in the fandom, like anything is possible is what it reminds me. So
You're telling me. You're telling me.
I know.
It's we got 2 years, and then everything will change completely. I've been through this enough times to know how the tides turn, and there's just absolutely no stability for any take or relationship with anyone. I think that Lindsay just looked at her watch and was like, "That's been 2 years. It's time to now have a friendship with Carl again." But I loved this part. This part was incredible. Andy goes, "What the hell got you two in Carl's apartment to do the Carl's a Mess ad for Uber Eats?" And it's so funny because this is a fourth wall break because it's just so ridiculous to try to justify why this is a good move, a beautiful move, a fun move. You guys wanted money. You were capitalizing on a moment, and it's not anything other than that. We're talking about these shitty fucking brand deals that all of them do at any time. And Andy was like, "How did you get dragged to Carl's apartment?" And she's like, "I wanted to bring a lighthearted energy to a seemingly dark moment," which is like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah. But I actually thought this was worth talking about because when it happened, the week that it happened, we talked about at length whether or not they got approval from the scorned parties, because I thought Lindsay doesn't give a shit. She'll do whatever she wants, as she says here. Carl, I was like, do you think he got permission? Because it is a little gauche of, if people in your lives are heartbroken over something that happened, to profit off of it the same week. I thought it was interesting that came up about whether or not it was appropriate to do. I know that this is how the world, their world works. They all do this stuff all the time, but it was usually it's if it were Sierra doing it, she has the right to do that. But if they were friends of. So I was always wondering whether or not they got permission. And this is where Amanda's like, I would have never done that to you during your breakup. And they're all like, all right. And Kyle's like, well, at first I thought it was a little cringe, but then I watched it and frankly, it was epic.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't think we need to be very high-minded about this. There's you know what I mean. I mean, it's they decided to capitalize on a big moment during a scandal like everyone has done in Bravo history, and it didn't really need to be rationalized by Lindsay in any way. Good to hear, I guess, the perspectives here. Was like, I didn't give a shit. Kyle was like, yeah, I thought it was really dumb at first, but then it was the best Uber Eats ad I've ever seen. I mean, so yeah, great to know. And then Sarah calls out Amanda for being like, you would never do that with your moral lens on things, but you fucked my ex West. Who knows what your bar is? So she immediately kind of gets the upper hand on that one, being like, you can't be outraged by shit because nobody cares about what you find morally abhorrent at this point.
Right. Yeah, and it ends with Carl saying it was incredible to be back on the couch with Lindsay. They have incredible chemistry, and that she unblocked him to post that partnership post, and he remains unblocked but does not follow. So that's where we stand. But maybe as of today, I bet she does.
Well, it's going to be tied to some brand campaign. What's follow.com? Like, no, seriously. Like, think of a brand right now. Glade. It's Glade. Are Glade still air fresheners? I had to descent my house after Carl left me, but the new fresh air has wafted in. So I'm pushing follow on new kind of air.
Hey,
Follow
that's good.
Carl. Yeah, thanks. That was, something like that. It's you can't even imagine the ad that will coincide with Lindsay finally following Carl. So that's the last little bit. And people are siding with Lindsay now because she's giving voice to the hatred and calling out the evil that they have seen. But I'm just looking at Lindsay the same way as I always have. And I know sort of enough about her to know that is a step that she's leaving as the last lingering thing that she's going to tie to some campaign. We get into Freedom Dinner.
Yep.
Lindsay Hubbard's annual Freedom Dinner. I will say that this is when Kyle starts to not look great for a significant portion of this. Sort of indefensible behavior throughout, and he's kind of hoping that the tide has turned enough to where the hatred of West and Amanda and thinking that they're scum will win him over some new fans or whatever. But I will just say, like, he should have just acknowledged the entire time how absolutely despicable, his behavior was to Amanda. So we'll go through it. Now, Sierra says, Kyle, you went through the ringer last year with Amanda. I should have been more on your side. It let me look at you in a new lens after everything that I saw. And then they talk about what that explosion of fight with Carl was like at the table. And Amanda gives her perspective. She's like, I hated to see him fight Carl. Like, he had no deep grudge against him. He just saw red like he sometimes did and said all the worst shit in the world to hurt him. And then Andy goes, what about West moving his chair to Amanda's side after Kyle said fuck you with his entire heart at him? And that's the moment where I would say the energy shifts a little bit, because I feel like this is a real moment in Bravo history to sort of view this scenario and see how you truly feel about it if it was any other circumstances in the world. If you don't think that Wes and Amanda were secretly cheating on each other and having sex and in love, it's a sort of noble thing that some people would have thought was wonderful or great. To be like, don't look at your wife and berate her with the fucking Emperor Palpatine eyes saying, fuck you. Direct your anger at the people that you're mad at and stop talking to your wife like that. There's like nothing more noble. I'd be such a fucking hypocrite if I lied and championed Lala on the Valley doing the exact same thing against Danny and Nia and not say that is wonderful that Wes did that in the face of Kyle, berating her, saying much worse shit than Danny said to Nia. It's horrible. And I've been fucking going down on Danny. He's like a fucking Led Zeppelin. I've been chastising him, and Kyle said worse to Amanda. He called her a fucking dumbass bitch, and he said fuck you right to her face. So to me, that moment is just, it needs to be reassessed. You need to really think about it. I'm like, at the time,
even Andy at one point is like, Kyle's sort of trying to get around it, and Andy goes, you can't defend it. Like, he's like, even Andy's like, just stop right there.
Well, it doesn't, it doesn't really stop there. It's kind of, for a while, I feel like Kyle is getting such a huge benefit of the doubt. But I just know that if it wasn't teams, people would be like, this is so fucked up. Like, everything now that Wes says is just seen in a completely nefarious light, when if you could just analyze it for a second in any other way, I feel like you would really be taking Kyle to task for this behavior here. And even the Cartier watch thing, like Kyle's like, were you trying to make me look worse? West, because you secretly were cheating with my wife. And he goes, I didn't need to make you look worse. What the fuck are you talking about? You called your wife a fucking dumbass bitch, and we all heard you. And then the Wolf of Wall Street thing, which I gave shit to West about, because I thought that was a really weird analogy to call out Kyle for being like Jordan Belfort. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? But then when he says that he had just heard Kyle call Amanda a fucking dumbass bitch the day after he gave her the Cartier watch, of course he's going to talk shit about Kyle. If I heard my friend's husband call my friend a fucking dumbass bitch, I would never think about them the same way for the rest of my life. So the fact that he had ire towards Kyle in that confessional makes all the sense in the world. You get to call Kyle Belfort if you want. He was just, and then he apologizes for his confessional. He's like having to backtrack, calling Kyle Jordan Belfort. I'm like, in what world? In what Bravo world? That's like a 1 out of 50 insult that someone could say to someone. So I just think that this like 10-minute stretch really just, everyone, please just think about this for a second. Just think about this a little more.
Yeah. I mean, that's always the problem of, it's like, can we hold two truths at once? Can we both agree that their marriage was pure shit, that he said horrible shit to her that's unacceptable, that she also treated him badly?
Yeah. I've said it too many times to even say it, but I'm not even going to say it again. I just think that they were starting from such a horrible place after the trust was broken to find out that they didn't have sex for 4 years, which we're going to get to. It's like, that is because Amanda didn't feel comfortable having intimacy with Kyle after he completely ruined the trust in the relationship. But if people want to say that Amanda was also horrible to Kyle, then I'll allow it, because I'll allow anything in these
But it's like
circumstances.
She moved forward in the relationship. Like, at a certain point, you are entering into an agreement. And why did she want to lock it down if she didn't trust him for shit?
Because she loved him and she thought that she could make it work. I will acknowledge that at a certain point, Amanda also gave up, and Kyle's love language was not giving up after he cheats on someone, which was like, okay, whatever. Yes, they both did wrong, but I'm just saying it was irreparable. 4 years of no sex, no matter if you're in a relationship, that's at least worth thinking about. And I'm surprised that they let 4 years go by in the relationship without being like, should we have sex once a year? It kind of shows that it was a little deeper, the kind of stuff that was going on between them. But regardless, yes, I completely agree with you that a lot of people will think Amanda is also to blame for the demise of their relationship. It's just Kyle, for some reason, I have to always say this, I love Kyle and I love everyone in the Summer House. That's why this scandal rocked me so hard, because I have the best version of all of them in my head, because I love Summer House. It's less even cut and dry than Vanderpump Rules, where I really feel like there's more cartoonish figures over there. On Summer House, I love everyone. I've always loved Kyle. He has been so nice to me personally, as nice as Amanda and West, so I love him. But I'm viewing everyone in the lens of how I've always viewed them. And so Kyle trying to undercut him calling Amanda a fucking dumbass bitch under his breath when Ben and West hear it, him being like, that was muttering. It's like, you have not learned the lesson, and you're actually not taking accountability because you're happy that West and Amanda are getting all of the audience's scorn. So that's a big deal for me to assess Kyle, to know that he's excusing his behavior instead of also crying down on the floor and screaming and begging for forgiveness from Amanda, no matter what the circumstances are. And that's all I'm trying to say. And I hate that I have to keep saying that I love everyone on Summer House, because that should be a given. I absolutely love every cast member on Summer House.
Right. So yeah, then it gets into that he says she set the tone for the summer when she said that he started DJing to spite him. She says he set the tone when he fell asleep at that fan's apartment. He tries to say that most of the times when he's on a bender, she was supposed to have been there. This is where they get into the fact that West could be considered a Kyle 2.0. Andy describes him as a good time Charlie. They all say, Amanda, you're going out till 4 a.m. all the time now. She goes, yeah, I'm single now, which I get, but it is a big change of her attitude. But she says, I just didn't like going out with Kyle specifically. And you could tell that that was the dagger of all daggers. He's like, no.
He just starts crying immediately. Not with me, she said. Yeah, that hurts him hard. Quite possibly she kind of adds some rationale for why it was horrible going out with Kyle. She said he gets blackout drunk. Every time he goes out, there'd be, rumors about him. She goes, he would get really, really drunk and then we'd get in fights. So no offense, even though it offends Kyle almost harsher than anything else. She is like, I didn't enjoy going out with him because he's a bad drunk. And we're talking, I hate to keep bringing up the Valley, but we're talking about bad drunks on there. And obviously there's a difference between going out with Danny being a fucking horrible drunk. And Nia's like, you suck going out. It's horrible. And someone else who has 3 Mike's Hard Lemonades and doesn't start fighting with you. So I'm just saying, I'm not even declaring a winner on that. I'm just saying that it's a rationale Amanda uses to be like, going out with you sucks, Kyle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So he also, this is where he says West, he's like, that kid parties twice as hard as me, and I'm calling him kid because he's immature and he's a fraudulent phony, and I thought I knew you, and he gets pissed.
What'd you think of that moment?
I don't know. I was kind of waiting for him to get emotional, and that was, I think, the first time that he gets super pissed. So I was like, yeah, I expected him to get pissed at some point. And it sort of, it doesn't last very long.
Yeah, no, it sounded a little bit like it was kind of like his moment for a second. He was like, give me a break. This kid parties twice as me. He's like a younger Kyle on steroids. And I say kid, because in fact, you are the most immature, fraudulent phony I've ever met. I was like, okay, Holden
Moving
Caulfield.
on.
Yeah. Okay, these fakes and phonies. I was like, yeah, it could have hit a little hard. Maybe I had post Dara eyes where it didn't culminate in a wonderful. I think that Kyle didn't expect that segment to go that way, so he was kind of defeated when he finally was rising to his moment, and that kind of came out a little limp to me, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, so then we get to their breakup and the statement, which has been completely overshadowed by the West and Amanda statement. We originally received a Amanda and Kyle statement, which I remember when the West and Amanda statement came out, they're like, didn't she just release the statement with Kyle? It's kind of crazy to have a statement with your husband and your boyfriend in the same 3-month span, but go off.
It's giving 2 statements.
Yeah. Dueling statements. He did reveal that he sent it to his mom because she's an English teacher.
Aww.
And I was like, that's so sad. Sending your notes app, divorce statement to your mom. And she's like, this reads as very final. Is that the message you're meaning to do? And he's like, I guess.
Should have sent the West one to Karen.
Damn.
Or, what's her name? Linda?
Yeah, that's
Janice?
what you lost. You lost a English teacher in your corner. You could have sent it to her.
She'd be like, this sucks. I'm
You had
saddened.
to use Claude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She'd be like, you're saddened? What does that mean? No, so it's, he goes, and then she made me press the button on it within an hour before my mom could even finish the last sentence. That one was so much better. I don't even remember it, but it was so much more human and heartfelt. I'm glad that Kyle's mom got eyes on that one, because the West and Amanda one, I've said it before, pretty shitty. But Amanda goes, my last straw, I made you push the button because we did a New Year's Eve in Hoboken where you were DJing at a restaurant, and then I went home, and then you ended up in some hotel that I'd never seen before in my life. You did all the shit that you've always done, and I said, I am done. That was the final nail in the coffin for Amanda, despite it being a rushed statement for Kyle to have to put out.
Right. New Year's Day, she says, this is not going to go forward into 2026. This is where we get into, it's sort of mealy-mouthed, like Kyle's cheating history. Carl tries to say, between the years 2018 and 2022, he certainly got fucked up a lot, but I never saw him stray specifically. And then Amanda gets into all the DMs. So much of it is rumor, so it's sort of like Occam's razor. There's probably some there, but she does claim that there is a video, which she's mentioned a video in the city and here, and I'm sort of like, roll the tape.
Yeah, no, totally. They need to get the rights to that one. I was confused. Because, we're not talking about certain stuff because there's the big elephant in the room. But, Kyle's being asked if he cheated right now on Amanda. And he says, no making out? Which Bailey's like, I consider making out cheating. Are you saying you made out? And he's like, no, Bailey. No making out and no sleeping together and no affairs, but I did do things that could constitute straying if one were truly thinking of it. I did, what did he say? I did clamor for attention at times because my needs weren't being met in my domicile. I was like, Kyle, what the fuck are you talking about? Did you cheat or not? I mean, is he saying making out is a tier above, but there was kissing and talking about kissing? And are we in any other world, like I already said, are we saying that brushing lips is permissible in relationships, but making out is Bailey level bad and then fucking is the worst? I'm like, he acknowledged something. So what did he acknowledge? And why is there no more talking about it?
Yeah, at one point, Lindsay's like, ear stuff? I'm like, probably. He also, one of the things is that Amanda got a DM that he asked a girl to make out, but it sounds like they didn't, and then she narked him out. So I'm like, he asked someone to make out, but didn't make out. So it's like on a technicality, doesn't count because he didn't get there. And then this is one of the nights, the video, apparently, when he made out with someone at the club. Did she say Shep? Taylor and Shep?
I guess so. I didn't even hear that part. Taylor and Shep were watching, cheering him on, cheating on
Taylor Ann Green?
Amanda. Taylor Ann Green and Shep? Holy shit. They're like a vault, those two. They could have had the biggest scandal over on Southern Charm by talking about seeing Kyle start to lock lips with someone. I need to just know, I think now that Kyle and Amanda's relationship is blown up to shit, it's now on Kyle to be forthright and just be honest. I'm sorry to say, but if I was just predicting based off what I've heard firsthand or secondhand and all of these little glimmers of rumors, I think the odds are kind of high that Kyle cheated again on Amanda post-marriage because he even implies, he's like, my needs.
I know.
He goes, Andy, my needs weren't being met. And Andy goes, how long were your needs not being met? And he goes, 4 years. I
think he says the whole time and she says 4 years. So they're in agreement. I was like, I thought that when Jesse said that he was being hyperbolic, but it sounds like maybe not.
Yeah, no. Kyle's kind of using it as evidence like, can you blame me?
I know. That's never a good path to go down, but it's interesting information.
Yeah.
So then we break for lunch. And it also, the last thing before they break for lunch is that Andy asks, we get Meghan King, which he just says, well, we already knew that they kissed after that party. They were talking about divorce. And
I liked it, though. I liked the romantic light he painted on. I liked it. I liked getting the scoop on this Meghan. I could not believe that the reunion filmed after Meghan King Edmonds. I'm like, my timeline is so fucked up. He goes, she had dust on her face from the duster around the corner, and I had to brush it off. And he goes, and then I kind of kissed her goodnight and sent her off into that beautiful night. And he was like, he painted the most beautiful portrait of him and Meghan King kissing, which was like, it's just, again, it's like the Uber Eats commercial. It's like, there's just nothing you can say. Just admit it. You made out with Meghan King on the streets of New York after being drunk as hell. Oh, okay. Well, what? Oh, okay.
He kissed her goodnight. The picture is very tame. It's not that juicy, I don't think.
Oh, I thought it was amazing. Oh, Kyle Cook kissing Meghan King Edmonds. I thought it blew my fucking mind. Oh, I thought it was
I know. I just think it was like a one moment never to be seen again.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was like the Kiss and Gone girl when she's getting the sugar dust. That's what I meant. The sugar dust all over her lips. He was like, she just had sugar dust from the bakery. And I kissed her good night. But then before lunch, Andy goes, was Summer House like therapy for you two? And Kyle goes, you said it best. Yes, it was. And then they go lunch. And that's when Sierra calls Miha on the phone and gives her the full scoop on the reunion so far. And she says West and Amanda barely even have looked at each other the whole reunion. They don't look like they like each other at all. And West has kept his mouth, besides the few mouth sounds that he's made, clicking, booping, all that kind of stuff, he's barely defended her, only a few times.
Yeah.
So, and Miha's on the other end. Loving it.
I know. I wish, we get a FaceTime. I think this could have been an iconic first time for Andy to actually say, let's bring her out.
Mhm.
I'm, I am appreciative of the information she has to offer here. They even go, at one point, they go, can we call her on set? I was like, I guess that's not unprecedented. We've seen housewives make calls in the seat to get clarification on stuff. But
I think Shane Simpson was the first one. And Andy goes, what a random husband to be the first one. But yeah, I think it was Shane Simpson who did the first call-in. But you're right. They want this to be administered into evidence. Even though Kyle has clearly said he knows the timeline, but then he confirms for camera. He goes, tell me again. She goes, February 2025. We were dating exclusively. I went to his house all through summer. He kept telling me, I can't date anyone but a Bravo celebrity. They'll fire me. I can only date Bravo celebrities. And Kyle goes, that's bullshit. He goes, I've known the code of conduct for Bravo celebrities for much longer than him, and that's not true. And then he also was saying that he didn't want to bring her into the public eye. So again, I have to reiterate that West was going to account for something no matter what. If he was in a relationship with Miha, he was going to have this conversation because Sierra would have found out that he was possibly in an exclusive relationship with Miha, even if the Amanda stuff hadn't happened. That's kind of shocking.
I
And
mean,
to me,
it might have gone unseen, though, because I feel like she only reached out to her after all of this. Like, she would have been away in the Midwest, never to be heard of again.
well, she was in New York and stuff. I'm just saying that okay, all I'm saying is that Miha, when she saw the footage, could have gone to the Bravo forum and been like, I was in an exclusive relationship with this guy and he was kissing Sierra. Like, she would have had the exact same sort of, response to it. I mean, it's obviously everything is so much more heightened, though, in this environment. And Kyle and Sierra are both, on this call wanting to make sure that they have all of the sort of details right. In a way. And Mia talks about how hurt she was to go from the Watch What Happens Live, where she was staying with him, to him breaking up with her, to then be seen at that movie theater going to see, I forget what we determined, Super Mario Galaxy. That was extra hurtful because it was like you got dumped and then an immediate relationship after. And so I think they're going to figure out, obviously, a way to bring that up, during the reunion. And then there was also a little bit of Amanda and West sort of talking about how things are going so far as well.
Yeah, Amanda's under a fuzzy blanket and she looks very on the verge of falling asleep. She looks very cozy. But yeah, the idea that he was potentially telling Miha that he cannot let people know that they are together because it would lose him his job is, I don't know, a bit more conniving than I would have expected. That's because Kyle's like, yeah, that's smart of him because he knows you don't know the rules. She believed him and he could have had a girlfriend. But he didn't want that to be his storyline. He wanted to appear single. He wanted the public to think he was single because God knows how many other chicks he was talking to on the side. So I just think that's interesting. And I hope they get more answers on that next week.
Yeah. If he did, if that's all confirmed, which I assume it will be, it definitely Definitely there is a part of me that has to like reconcile how image conscious West is, because almost everyone is saying that. And if he's really saying Bravo related like shit, like Bravo celebrities shall not date outside of our world or else I get demoted or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's a big deal to justify how you deal with people in your real life. And it's kind of goes back to what Paige was saying about how he was interacting with the world versus being a reality star. But we'll see. I mean, we talked for an hour and 15 minutes, I think. I don't know what the math will, how the math will shake out, but that was one of the best reunions I've ever seen. I mean, and I really, you know, I'm sure, I don't know how people will react. I assume Wes and Amanda completely bad, Kyle and Sierra great, but at least there was a lot of different discussion, like about the Freedom Dinner and stuff and all of this shit, where it was just like the entire season was sort of accounted for, but they really did keep the focus on West and Amanda, which is like the best thing I could have ever hoped for a part 2. And I have to say this, we're going to go to a watch party tonight. It'll be over by the time, but like I was so happy that the watch party, I'm like imagining fireworks fucking going off at Untamed Spirits tonight, because people are going to be surprised at this reunion. So, you know, I thought it was the best part 2 I've ever seen in my life. But you and I, do you mind if we take a quick little break and then we'll come back and talk about In the City? Does that sound good to you?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
In the city of New York.
Nice.
I was thinking of what the after break transition would be, and I came up with that pretty within the last 10 minutes or so. How was it?
Very good. There's no theme song like how the Valley is. I'm feeling all right.
I'm feeling all right. Yeah, it's all right. No. So it's like Summer House. You know what I mean?
Ugh,
they follow
they
the
took that
patterns.
from us.
Yeah, they follow the patterns of their precursors. Valley gets a rockin' intro because the Vanderpump is rockin'. And then this gets shit because they hated the Summer House song, even though it's wonderful. Do you remember it?
Bring it back.
Yeah. We'll never stop.
Sunset to sunrise, I'll show you the way.
That was, God, feels good to sing again. It's underrated and under-discussed how bad the Valley's theme song is. And it's one to be remarked upon. It just says, I'm all right, over and over again, in a sort of grunge-esque kind of tone.
All right. But it kind of reminds you of I'm feeling all right. Who sings that song?
No, it evokes that. Everything. Wait,
the Joe Cocker song.
It totally is evocative of Joe Cocker, but it's just so bad. Like, did Jax get to choose? He's like, I love this style of song, grunge. Can we make a song where we're all right over and over again? I think just at some point we need to have a conversation about how bad the Valley theme song is. Not now, though, because we're talking about In the City, mimosas, and mayhem, or mayhem, some say. What about what we learn immediately from this, which is that guy Frank the milkman, apparently people are saying that he's appeared not just once, but twice in a Bravo forum. And he went on a date, I guess, with Kelly Dodd at some point. This is true, right?
Yep. When we first met him and he was saying how he's in the milk business, there was some faint voice inside of me whispering that never really got through until I saw the clip on TikTok. But I now recall that Kelly Dodd, post-divorce, I think when the clip I saw from like Bravo was 2018, went on a date with him. He's just in the mix, so to speak. So I don't know what that says about the, how genuine this is, how Andrea met him in the first place, or if someone from 31 Flavors or whatever was like, I got Frank. Let's bring him in. He's perfect for this.
Yeah, he's like a great guy to bring in. He's milk centric. He's been trying to get this milk business off the ground since 2018. Manhattan Milkmen. So yeah, you have to just say I loved Frank. I love him. I still love him, but just knowing that he's appeared on Bravo, people are comparing him to that one guy that was on New York, Roni, and then also on Summer House that Lindsay also met,
Oh, right.
Do you remember
Like
that guy?
Paimon or whatever?
He went in, yeah, Paimon, not the demon from Hereditary, but Paimon. Yeah, so you don't want to see him before with Kelly Dodd, but he's not ruined his chances with me liking him. But the start of this episode has a kind of red meat for Summer House intrigued fans because it starts with Amanda meeting the most unlikely pair you've ever seen in your life, West and Sierra.
Yeah. I knew this was coming, but I guess I didn't expect it to be straight out the gates. So it was exciting. She's waiting on the street for them. They arrive together from their side of town. Because I think at one point Sierra said that her and West lived really close to each other. He's like, hey, Manders. I think this is what we saw in the preview for this show. She goes, I was just checking your location, Sierra. And she goes, I always forget you have my location. I'm like, well, you'll remember soon that you have Amanda's location and you will be checking it and she will be at West's apartment.
Yeah, you're going to be thinking about having people's locations pretty soon. I never thought about how West could live in West Village.
He doesn't.
Oh. He doesn't?
The last I checked, he lived in Hell's Kitchen.
Hell's Kitchen?
Yeah.
Where
he
Bourdain
belongs.
Oh, damn. I wasn't even thinking that. Oh, you're right. Straight to hell with the Westy. You're in Hell's Kitchen. Oh, my God. So he's breaking his hump where Bourdain cut his chops and where the Hell's Kitchen. Hey, wow. Well, I was just saying, like, what a missed opopportunity. Like, if I lived in West Village and my name was West, I'd be like, hello.
Yeah.
Think about my name. This is my village. Even though it predates him by a long time, that name. But you said he lives in Hell's Kitchen, so it's not even worth talking about. And Amanda goes, this piece of rubble will be my home. And she goes, no, look under the rubble. There's what, isn't it? Isn't it a big pile of rubble? And she's like, no, it's this place behind it. That's going to be my home. Because guess what, my two best friends? I'm moving out of Kyle's house and signing a year lease. And this is obviously big news you can deliver to your two best friends.
Yes. Yeah, that's a new development that it's going to be a year lease. She just says it was too hard to find a place dog friendly that was furnished, etc. Which, I mean, she said on the reunion that January 1st was when she decided it was over. I think when she signed the year lease, that was probably step one, but maybe she wasn't being fully honest with herself. We also get here, she reiterates what close friends she is with Sierra. She goes, we've been best friends for years now. I'm obsessed with that woman. Also, West and I became very good friends through all this Kyle stuff. He really supported me. And she goes, plus, great for me. West and Sierra are best friends again now, too. So we're a perfect trio. And they all hold hands. And she's like, look at us. This makes me so happy. Who would have thought this was possible? And I'm like, they should have just been a polycule. It could have solved everything for everyone and just all dated.
Wow. So polycule heads, listen to what Amy said. You'll be thinking about this. That could have been a possibility. And Sierra even says, she goes, chill, Amanda, with all that. We're the trio of a lifetime. We're the time warp trio. Like, no, let's not get ahead of ourselves. And even West is like, yeah, but this was always my dream, us hanging out. And they even play on it, a little bit. When West goes, Sierra, are you cold? Is that, what's the sea next to Manhattan? Is that Atlantic?
The Hudson.
Is the Hudson wafts chilling you? He goes, have my houndstooth. And then they're like, this is amazing. All this, is it Easter eggs? But now we're in a completely different time frame. And then what about this moment when Amanda's talking in her confessional, and then all of a sudden a full-blown inception happens where the room starts spinning, and then the green screen starts pixelating, and it's like, we need to talk about now, Amanda. And they go, and then they glitch between her old self and her new self, and then try to get the current. That was the first time where In the City is now, they know what the hell is going on, and they're able to add new edits, and they're going to now fully embrace this new timeline. I was stunned. I didn't think that
Yeah.
they would ever pull a move like this.
I
in the
know.
third
I thought
episode.
we were done with it. Made sense for the introduction, doing 3 months later or like a year before. Like they always do stuff like that. But this to be interspersed is interesting. Also, when it glitched, I thought it was my screener. Like I was like, because sometimes there's like little glitchy stuff that like isn't fixed yet. And I was
Yeah.
like, what's that? And then
I
it
got
kept happening. And then it switched. And honestly, like I'm not saying anything mean about Amanda's appearance, but there's something about the way she holds her jaw that it was like, because they played it as a jump scare, I was like, it was giving like Momo. Like I was like the scary Momo where I was like, ah!
Oh, well, you'll have people loving that. Momo or the person from The Ring. Yeah, no, they gave it sort of, they did, in our screener, it probably won't make it, but they did flash to a bunch of like blood on the walls for a second and a bunch of weird kids' crayon drawings before they showed Amanda. So it was a little scary, but then they sort of leveled it out. I contacted Bravo. I go, what the fuck is wrong with my screener? There's a glitch in the middle of it. But if I would have just waited for 1 second, it would have been proven to me.
Please
And she goes,
disregard.
yeah. And she goes, they go, we have to ask now, Amanda, did you, they're like, look at this now. It's May 5th when we're doing this confessional. And in October, come on, just admit it to us. Were you dating West? Did you love him at this point? And Amanda says, no, that was my friend. I know what it looks like. I know it seems bizarre, but these are just two very important people to me that helped me get through this weird time. So,
Mhm.
they asked again. Again, though, nothing Amanda ever says people will believe.
I
She's a
mean-
pathy. West's a
Yeah,
pathy.
apathy. But I'm just like, she did not say anything whatsoever. Like, I think even you agree that when they embraced in the foyer, as I say, there was like something between them that I have to imagine they talked a lot. They had a very close connection. They were going out for martinis together. Like, to not even say like anything at all, I feel like it's just not satisfying. I also clocked that when she said, these are two very important people to me, I flashed back to Watch What Happens Live, because the night that West lied to Andy, he goes, let me be clear, that is a very important person to me. So like when we just heard that Sierra was like, they were using buzzwords, speaking in the same language. I was like, she's using the same language that he used on Watch What Happens Live when he lied, as if like just saying that they're an important person to me, like absolves you of any further detail.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Wow. Yeah, I forgot about that. They both said important people. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't really know when we'll ever like. I don't really know if we'll ever be satisfied with this timeline. Like,
Yeah.
for me, it makes decent amount of sense that they fell in love with February. I mean, people. You already said the timeline doesn't matter, and I don't think the timeline matters. So who does think the timeline matters? Like, Kyle and Amanda were out of a relationship for a very long time. He was on his tippy toes making out with Meghan King. She was allowed to cheat or whatever, or make out with other people, just not his friend. That was the moral, ethical boundary. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know what it will do to people when they find out that it was just February 19th or whatever. Like, people have already made their moral judgment. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't know who it matters to at this point. We've all made our decision about the evilness or the scale of moral bankruptcy that has taken place here. And I don't think I'm out of step to be like, yeah, it happened in February. They're just like, they lied because they were busted and it was horrible, and they lied to their friend as damage control, but they know that they could get busted at any minute if somebody has a kissing photo of them in January. So now they're just telling the timeline. They're so hated Like, no one is going to be on the fence being like, I'm about to hate Amanda. I'm about to hate Amanda. Was it in January? It's like, no. Everyone has decided. They fucking hate them more than anyone in the world right now. So I guess it's just like, let's end timeline talk. I think it happened in February.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, the show obviously thinks it's very important. They're putting dates to the minute on here, so there's probably going to be more in the future, but this is our touch base for now. This is where she's talking about the move. They talk about what Sierra said to him on the beach. So back to Summer House, that he wasn't totally blindsided because of that conversation. She also, one of her examples of Kyle being out of turn was that he went out really late the other day and got home at 8 a.m. And at first I was like, oh, wow, still doing that. And then she goes, well, he was at the SNL after party. And I was like, free pass.
Oh, I said, you're staying out all night with the cast. No, that's like the coolest party in the world. I've read about it. Could you imagine going to a party and seeing Lorne Michaels just sitting, drinking a gin and tonic by himself up on a beautiful table, talking to Andrew Disnukes? Like, no, it's the coolest shit in the world. So I get why Kyle stayed out till 8 a.m. And they one notable thing, I have to stop being so pissed at Dumois revelations and thinking that they're fake as shit all the time. They use Dumois as evidence and they all like accept it. Sierra goes, well, I saw the Dumois, about Andrew Disnukes and Kyle, him cleaning the barf off the floor or whatever. Like, so I just assumed that he was out that night. And I was like, damn, like and Amanda used Bravo and cocktails to prove evidence about Danielle. So they believe all of these sites. So I need to start like getting on the Bravo and cocktails and Dumois train. Like, they believe them, so why don't I? So anyway, just a little point to be made.
Yeah, I think one of the things it said, Kyle could barely form a sentence, but he had good friends around him to make sure he stayed upright. So I was like, I think he was with Carl that night. So God bless Carl.
Well, no, though, this was earlier. He's been having his
He's
SNL
gone again.
Yeah, because he's really in his SNL 51 era. I think he watched the SNL 50 and he was like, I need to be a part of this legacy. No, because this is October and unless my timeline is so fucked up, but they just went to SNL again 2 months ago. Okay. So he's, you know what I mean? This is October. So I'm just saying.
Didn't she say this was the SNL 50 after party?
Yeah. Oh,
so that's even more. He could stay out for 4 days. I don't give a fuck.
Could you imagine? It's like Kyle got in a fight with Chevy Chase.
Jack Nicholson was there.
Don't even get me started on SNL 50. I couldn't even imagine doing that. No wonder Kyle needed to be propped up by Ben Marshall. It's just fun. You get a pass if you go to the SNL party. You don't even need to call anybody. They know. Like, I'm going to be out till 8 a.m. I think.
And then Lauren to call Amanda and be like, Amanda, he's staying out tonight. It's allowed.
Could you imagine getting that call? I'm imagining being the recipient of that call for Megan in my own life. And I'm like, Lauren, this is amazing. Of course, Megan can stay out until the morning. I want to meet Lorne Michaels. Can we, when we go to watch What Happens Live as bartenders, can we please pull every like cutthroat fucking, what's that called? Like hustle mentality let's pull a full-blown Marty Supreme, and after Watch What Happens Live bartender, can we also make it coincide with going to SNL? I really gotta go. I want to go as a part of the Lorne era. I before John Mulaney takes over. I want to see the Lorne part.
We'll do our best. We'll get there. Maybe Carl can help us. Okay, so then they get into, West is like, do you ever give him an ultimatum and say, if you don't stop this shit, I'll leave your bitch ass? And he says, I see no signs of Kyle slowing down. She's like, well, you were with him the other night. And he's like, I went to bed early that night. We didn't do anything bad. And it is very interesting that West was running between these two dynamics the whole time. Like, he was at brunch with Kyle and drinks with Amanda. Like, he was like, I gotta go fuck your wife.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Oh, I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah, he's like, I'll have brunch with Kyle and then check, please. Can I fuck his wife?
He
Um,
took Kyle to Villa Blanca and Amanda to Sir.
it's so true. Oh my God. That's the perfect analogy of restaurants in our sort of society that he would take them.
We cut to a Loverboy meeting where Kyle is like, you guys, we're running out of cash quick. And a girl is like, should I be looking for other jobs? He's like, I can't tell you no, which I've had that conversation before at sinking ships where they're like, can't tell you it's not a good idea, but I don't want you to leave, but maybe you should.
I'd be polishing my resume if the CEO of Loverboy said, I can't tell you no. I thought that was a big question to ask in that meeting. Like, am I going to get fired? He's like, I can't
Right.
say no. Yeah. So Loverboy, that's again, yeah, Loverboy is going in the, it's possibly, he was like, he's still in the era where he's like paying the paychecks for everyone, right? He's like,
Right.
next up is ceviche date.
Yeah, Lindsay and Frank. It's okay. I mean, she's really making a meal out of this. Everything he says, she's laughing. He goes, will you judge me if I order rosé? And she's like, are you a rosé kind of guy? And he's like implying that it's, I don't know, feminine to order rosé. And I'm like, this is Summer House. Everyone guzzles rosé by the gallon. We are okay with that. We don't even need to joke about that.
No, yeah, I said that too. We don't need to ask. Rosé is okay.
Hampton water,
anytime.
bitch.
They call it Hampton water. And he goes, I know the rules of men, no straws, no mixes. I was like, no straws? I was like, is that from Crazy Stupid Love? Don't you remember that movie? Did that change how people drink out of straws? Because Ryan Gosling said you can't drink out of them or whatever. That really fucked people up
Yeah.
for a long time. And then he said, I'm the milkman. I'm the milkman. I wanted a nostalgic look back at milk where I deliver milk bottles with muscular men to people's doors. It was kind of what we predicted last week. I had no idea, but it's the classic milkman archetype. The little hat, leaving them on your window sill. And Lindsay says something funny. She says, Gemma's going to need milk soon. So this could work out really well, that I'm dating a milkman.
It reminded me of on And Just Like That, Anthony has a sexy bread business where hunks deliver your fresh bread. And I was like, I wonder if Frank saw that and was like, oh, that's like my milk business. He's also obsessed with the gym. He's like, Lindsay, did you work out today? She's like, no. He's like, I did. And she's like, I have a 22-pound baby that keeps me fit. And he's like, okay, cool. That's important to me. And in her confessional, she says she hasn't had, she's only had one other date since her breakup 8 months ago. And she says she wants her fanny fluttering. She says she's not looking for a soulmate. She just wants that fanny to flutter. So
yeah, it was great. I'm kind of all in here. I just need to know about the Kelly Dodd stuff, but other than that, I like him. He says she's giving Samantha Jones, which to your credit, you just said, and Just Like That, which didn't have Samantha's character on it, but she's definitely there in spirit. And she, I think if I'm correct, Carrie calls her at one point, so it's fine. She still is living. And then, he goes, I learned everything about milk from the streets. He's like, I rose my way up as a milker. He's like cows first, and then getting it from stores all the way up to the company that he has now. And he goes, so I knew it from the streets. And she goes, are you also, though, how is it in the sheets? And you can tell he's taken aback, but he takes it sort of well. He goes, I would say I'm a good sex man. And so they have a little bit of that fun banter. So what do you give it on a out of 1 to 10 on a date that you're seeing Lindsay on? What do you give it?
7.
That's
just for
really
fanny
high.
fluttering. She seemed into it.
Yeah, I give it an 8. All right, Yvonne,
okay,
and
can we skip? It was like just Georgina's kids like eating dog poop off the ground. I was like, all right, next.
yeah, it was unfortunate that they went to Dog Poop Park in New York City. It's like, what the hell is going on over there in Manhattan?
Poo-poo
It was
Village.
Yeah, basically, yeah. They called us having Poo Poo Village. You guys got this on your hands. It's like my kid's eating dog shit. No, but we got to know a little bit more about Yvonne, and we will talk about Yvonne more. But this was just kind of an introduction, and we found out we have to say congrats to Yvonne. I barely know you, but congrats, because she is having a baby with that guy that she's been talking about, her husband, and it's the baby barber of Fleet Street, they're calling it, which I thought is very cute, baby barber. And then they
They
did
should
a
have
funny
meat
little.
pies at the baby shower.
I thought it was really cute. I was like, no one references Sweeney Todd unless it's for something about, because what is he? He's the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Yes.
But it was the whole Sweeney Todd aspect of the announcement was cute.
I know. I was a little sad for her that the announcement aligned post premiere. So she's wearing like a fab skin tight leopard dress in the announcement photo, but then to the premiere she had to wear an oversized blazer because she was obscuring the pregnancy. And at the time I was like, there's ain't no other reason a girl would wear a blazer like that to her big premiere.
So did you say that to yourself? You thought?
Definitely. It's the same with Lindsay wearing the peplum to Andrea's wedding. I was like, she would never wear that otherwise.
Holy shit. The cues from fashion. It's a world in which I cannot dwell. And it's so cool that you have access to this kind of stuff. Great. I don't know Georgina and Yvonne, but I love them. But we got to go next really quickly to Kenny and Whitney. Whitney's moving in. She's got 17 boxes, and they used the best moving company in all of Bravo, Roadway Moving. They do this for free if you're a Bravo celebrity. It's pretty cool.
I think you might have enough followers on TikTok that if you move, you should email them. I think you could make it work.
They have no idea the bounty they would receive if they paid for my moving. It's so expensive. I would do so much content for them. I would butter them up like crazy. But this scene was okay. Kenny was kind of like, he was like, whoa, you brought a lot of shirts and socks and these wood balls. And it's like, Roadway went to her house, packed up everything for free, and delivered it to your house. There's really no shit you can say about this. And Whitney was a little sensitive as he kept poking fun at her. And he's like, you should bring your minions to help you. And she was like, I don't have any friends in New York, Kenny. That hurt me. That kind of hurt my feelings. And he gives her a hug. And it's not that. I don't think it was that mean on Kenny's part. It was a little too mean-spirited maybe, but she was in a sensitive place because she has no friends here. I don't know how you felt. I didn't think it was that.
Yeah.
Like,
she cries like 3 times in this episode. I'm a little afraid that she is a little I hope that she will find her voice. I'll just say that. I don't know that she needed to bring those world market wooden balls, but nevertheless, let's get
Roadway, they don't care. Roadway just showed up. Could you imagine? Roadway says, we're paying for everything and we'll do all the work for you. You're putting wood balls in there. Like, the reason why moving is hard is because you have to make all of those decisions. I thought it made perfect sense to just bring absolutely everything. What I was worried about is where all that stuff is actually going to fit. Kenny was like, I can't put my bike. They should have
moved into a new, bigger place.
Yeah, but you're right. And then that leads us perfectly to this next scene at Jack's wife, Frida.
Yes. So Danielle reached out to Lindsay after she, on the premiere, I think, was like, can we get lunch or something? And Lindsay was like, I'm busy these days. And she followed up and was like, no, seriously, can we have a scene together? And if you read the text, she goes, I know a lot of shit went down on SH9. And I was like, oh my God, not them using like production code.
It's so cool. I thought that was so cool. We need to start referring to it like that. Just those letters and a number, SH9. And Lindsay says, sorry, I was in a commercial shoot all day. I'm doing Uber Eats stuff. But yes, I'll meet you. So they do.
I bet it was T-Mobile.
Oh, right, of course. Oh, she's like the spokesperson for T-Mobile. She's the new Can You Hear Me Now? Remember that guy? Can you hear me now? He was really cool.
So also in that text, she was like, she goes, I know I've done a lot of shit to you over the years, but I really hope you didn't think I was being judgmental about you being a single mom. And in the text, Danielle says, obviously, like my mom was a single mom and that is a special subject for me. So, and Lindsay responds like, of course, down to chat. Let me know when. And I'm like, I will say, always down to clown. She's like, let's do our job. Let's sit down. And it goes fine. I mean, it's not particularly heartfelt. They sort of just, they go through that. Lindsay's like, there's always something every single year that you do to hate on me. There was the gender reveal that there was a clip of Danielle saying, is she just doing this to rub it in Carl's face? There's like her saying that it's crazy that she doesn't live with her, with Turner Kufi. And then the hand job thing, which is like going all the way back. And she's like, I don't think I did that. And it remains a question, I guess.
I know. I'm like, I mean, come on. I know it's like not the coolest thing in the world, but is it so forgettable that you jerked him off at an Uber? Like, I now, because Danielle's denied it in our timeline now. She was like, I never gave him a hand job. So maybe she did enough research on her own to be like, that never happened. But in this moment, she's like, I don't think I did that. So I was like, did it or not? And nobody has they've pulled some footage, but it's not conclusively Danielle being like, I just gave Carl the best hand job of his life, or Carl saying, I just received a huge hand job from Danielle. So we don't know. And I think Lindsay kind of lets it go more than I thought she would. Because if she knows that it happened, I feel like she would kind of push on that. I have to say again, I didn't think Lindsay's evidence against Danielle was very good. 3 of those comments are when she felt sidelined by Lindsay and didn't feel a part of her life. So she felt scorned. And the hand job one, I don't know, that was in season 4. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's kind of weak evidence against Danielle.
They give Danielle the I was right low-key montage of everything she complained about turned out to be true.
And then she says, Daniel goes, fucking Carl. He always talks about getting hand jobs. But then they like you said, they resolve it. And Lindsay says, I will now meet Owen and we can kind of be friends again, I guess, tentative friends. And it leads them to go to the brunch scene that's already happening where the rest of the cast are there. And they get to just kind of like walk from Jack's wife, Frida, to this group brunch. And
this group is too big for a group brunch. There's like 20 of them.
Well, too big, and they're not friends yet, you know? Like, I don't want to take them to task too much for the casting decisions, but I get why, in theory, it makes sense that everyone gets a friend except Amanda, but they're not actually friends. Whitney doesn't know any of them. Kenny doesn't know Lindsay. He doesn't know Amanda, I guess. So how close was he with Kyle? I mean, I guess he knows her enough, but I'm just saying, this is it's very Valley-esque, almost too Valley-esque than you would want it. So I felt like there was a lot of like miscommunication and just a lot of instances where people just didn't know each other well throughout this brunch.
Who was Amanda's friend they all kept naming?
Katie DeLuca.
Katie DeLuca, where is she? Nowhere to be found.
Katie DeLuca said, I got to get the hell out of here. She looked at the call sheet. She said, who am I friends with on this show? Amanda? No, I don't know what's going on. People are really, really wondering where Katie DeLuca is because we saw her at Grand Central Station. And some are saying, did she get into a train and went across the country because she hasn't been included at all. But Kyle goes, hey, Danielle, Lindsay, if Lindsay got an apology, I think Amanda should get one. Because at the Grand Central bar, apparently we didn't see this, but Danielle was dismissive against Amanda at this brunch. So Kyle's kind of defending Amanda, being like, if you're handing out apologies, and they kind of explain that Danielle and Amanda, kind of like Lindsay and Amanda, in terms of a friendship, have had a rocky road, and they're not very close. And it took a long time for Lindsay and Amanda to get as close as they did, but Danielle and Amanda never really got there.
Mhm.
in my opinion, you know. So it's kind of just like they don't really give a shit about each other. I don't think they like each other very much.
No. Yeah, there's the "Who do you trust the least" clip from Summer House, and then they didn't show us at Grand Central that they kinda got into it, and she was like, "Don't roll your eyes at me," like, they kind of got into it regarding, I think they were talking about Lindsay, and, so then Kenny chimes in, which I have to say, I kind of thought this was iconic. I'm not saying I'm on board with Kenny because I think he will do bad things, but I again will reiterate that I think he's a funny adversary to Lindsay Hubbard because he remains unbothered while
Mhm.
she gets so pissed at him. And it's sort of a funny thing. So he knows how to rile her up. He's like, if you have issues with Lindsay, then you got issues with 5 other ladies. And Nick tries to get a piece and he goes, don't you mean her minions, as you said last week at boys' night? And then they do a Minions, property of NBC Universal.
Mhm.
Minions cartoon, Amanda as a minion, I guess whoever, all these other ladies. I think it's inaccurate to say that these women are Lindsay's minions because they're not, you know, Amanda's not her minion. They're not
That's what
really
I'm saying.
friends.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, Kenny, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. It'd be like if Danny Bucco was trying to score points on Kristen. You'd be like, what are you talking about? You have no idea of the history. Amanda's like, you clearly don't know anything. I am not a minion. But the point still stands, I guess. I mean, he brought minions to the forefront, so give him
Yeah.
credit.
He
And
gets a bonus when he mentions NBC Universal properties.
I was just gonna say that they love showing that 5-second clip. I've never seen these minions in my life ever, and I
There's
just
a
got
new
my
one
first.
coming out.
I'm sure. How many have there been? 15? Like I never knew it, and then I finally saw my first piece of minion media in the city. I think that's kind of interesting. I always thought the minions were such ripoffs of the 3 aliens in Toy Story.
Mm. Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Those squeaky
The
aliens?
claw.
Yeah, I don't even have any evidence to back it up, but whatever. And then Amanda goes, "You clearly don't know the history, but this is the part that I know you liked and I liked as well." Lindsay starts standing up and clapping, and she goes, "Pay attention! I don't have minions. I have friends. You don't know anything about me. They're their own fucking people." And Kenny's like, "We're at brunch." He goes, "Are you on glue?" And I was like, "Are you on glue?" I was
It's
like,
giving
"Wait a
Gen
minute."
X.
I was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, "I like this. I haven't heard
Mhm.
Are You on Glue in a while." And he
It's
goes, "No,
great.
he goes, "Are you sniffing glue?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm on glue." But even the fact that she had to reference glue means that Kenny kind of won here. And I will say, we're all rallying around Lindsay Hubbard in this wonderful summer house time, but she did kind of take it to a little bit of a further degree than I thought. She was like, no offense, but she was like an 8 out of 10. I was like, did it really call for that? And Kenny was kind of being like, hey, I don't know what summer house is like, but when we're sitting down to brunch, do you have to get that mad? Are you sniffing glue?
He pulled a full Rachel Zoe. He went, "Are you okay?" He goes, "Are you on glue?"
Yeah, and I think everyone has to acknowledge that I think Lindsay's thing was a little overblown. I think that she really wanted this group brunch to spark and
Mhm.
what's the opposite of fizzle? Because it didn't fizzle. She wanted it to
Pop.
pop. She wanted it to pop, but not fizzle. And she might have just gone a little harder than I think that she
Mhm.
naturally would have with saying, she was, "I'm activated. Are you dumb?" She says, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm dumb. Okay, moving on." And he kind of takes the conversation back, and you could tell, I think, that Lindsay even knows herself that she might have went a little too far over there.
Yeah. I think at one point she goes, "Whitney's the one that's a minion. She didn't even get a closet when she moved in." And then Whitney cries and is like, "I don't know." Like, this is why I'm saying I think she might be taking any conflict a little rough. And then she has to carry a storyline later in this episode against her only ally, her boyfriend. So I'm just like, it feels a little like Raquel centric, where I'm like, are you going to be okay here?
Yeah, Whitney, just have fun. Oh my God, just have fun. Go nuts. Like, just do whatever the hell you want. And then Kitty goes, one of these days, Amanda, Lindsay's chief minion, will revolt against the tyranny of Lindsay Hubbard. And I was like, the tyranny of Lindsay Hubbard. I mean, I love it. I love titles. That
Yeah.
was great. But Amanda, unfortunately, she's not one of Lindsay's minions.
Right.
Maybe you can say that about Georgina or whatever. And then someone says, we can have our opinions and not be minions. And then Nick screams, opinions, not minions. And Amanda is delighted by it. And they start a full-blown opinions, not minions chant at the brunch.
Did you see Lindsay's face? Because Kenny starts doing it too. At first, she's looking around like, it's turning on me. It's turning on me.
Yes.
Like she's not smiling. And then she's like, I'm going to be fun. Ha ha, it's funny.
That's great. And you know that we're going to have opinions, not minions shirt with those three little Norbit and whatever the hell else their names are going goo goo gaga or whatever the hell they say. Opinions, not minions. And then it'll have a crossed out little minions on a shirt. It's funny. And Nick, come on, let's just say it. Opinions, not minions as a chant is very funny. So the group,
Yeah.
oh, okay. The group brunch ends decently. I think I can summarize this next scene pretty quickly if you
Okay.
would permit it. Georgina, Lexi, and Whitney go on a park bench. One of the most
Dream
famous park.
team.
This is good. Who did I mention? Georgina, Lexi, and Whitney. Am I talking about the dream team? And they go, guess what? Lexi says, guess what? Apparently Kenny said that the spark has fizzled and he doesn't know if there's a true spark. And she goes, did he say that verbatim? And she goes, pretty close. And I was like, not really. He said, like, I'm still wondering if she's the one and if
Yeah.
there's a spark. And you know when people just say stuff like, this is the plight of you and I. We just say a bunch of shit. And then people are like, do you remember when you said that? And it's like, no.
You're trying to take me to task? I don't
Yeah,
think
like,
so, honey.
No, I just no, I said a lot of fucking garbage for 2 hours. I have no clue what I said. So I think he was just trying to have an emotional conversation with Kyle and having a deeper conversation. And he said words that were kind of scrambled by Kyle, game of telephone. And then it gets back. And I know enough about Bravo to know that this is going to die on the vine very quickly when Kenny relates what he actually said, but they think that they're doing a good, nice, wonderful thing by relaying what Kenny said. I just got to say, I think that this is not going to
Yeah.
end up as anything.
Yeah, Lexi's like, he described your relationship as murky, and Georgina's like a swamp.
Yeah, it's the second thing that comes to mind when you say murky. So I was glad that was referenced. Oh my God, though. Final 2 scenes, but this Kyle and Amanda scene, you gotta love it. Both wearing those sweaters from the Boys Lie Loverboy
Yes.
collaboration.
I didn't realize that there was an actual connection to Boys Lie. I thought she was just a fan, but apparently they did a collab. They're going to do a photo shoot for it and also go on what I did not know existed, the Boys Lie podcast. And on their way there, she goes, guess what? I found a lease. It's a year. And he's like, well, that's sort of a totally different conversation. Kind of crazy that we're to believe that she didn't talk to him before signing it. He's like, I guess you already chose. And she's like, yeah, I had to sign it immediately, dog.
Yeah, dog friendly too. He goes a year. He goes a year is different than months. It's 12 of them. And she goes, yeah, but this was like the perfect place. You don't really know what to think about this because it is just so huge. And obviously it means such a different thing to be separated for a full year in a different house. You know, people will probably argue that Amanda did have more than one foot out the door at this point, but still gave enough to Kyle for him to ever think there was hope. But Kyle is even acknowledging, he's like, this is bad. Like,
Yeah.
a full year is completely different.
I felt kind of bad for him because you can tell that he's like, I want to support your independence and making the right choice for you and for us in, us not entering the toxic pattern of what we've been doing. But he's like, but also it feels like you're just leaving.
Yeah. Yeah, not a good sign for sure, especially knowing what we know now. I gotta say, Boys Lie podcast, I was so jealous of this studio. Oh my God, the Boys Lie podcast has like a Mark Maron level, or like what's a good podcast? Beautiful studio. I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking sweating my ass off in my big rocking chair right now. And Boys Lie has the coolest podcast setup I've ever seen in my life. And it's in the garment district. Could you imagine having a clothing centric podcast and being in the fucking garment district of New York City? I would be saying that at the top of every episode. We're
I
live.
will say, the chair you're in is akin to every single podcast studio I've ever seen. Everyone's in a boucle chair. Like, I think Carl's, I think Alex Cooper. It's just the standard. So you're already ahead of the game.
They're in boucle chairs like me.
You're killing
They
it.
are. They really are. They're in tall chairs that are fuzzy and big and rock back and forth, pretty much. Are they?
I just saw that Carl got a studio renovation. I think it was Crate and Barrel, and I was like, "There's those fucking boucle chairs. It's like you can't pod without them, so you're good."
You can't pod without a boucle chair. That's
That's what
good.
I'm always saying.
That's a good thing to know. I want to say that they blocked off the street of New York to where they could only walk on this stretch. So Amanda and Kyle are walking at a snail's pace. It's kind of funny. I've never seen two people walk slower. They're either waiting to go in to have their scene before Boys Lie, or they could only walk on a certain segment of New York. It was very interesting. And then Kyle goes, "Let's not talk about the bad stuff in our relationship on the Boys Lie podcast, please." Right? He says something like that.
Yeah, and then their first question is like, "How do you keep a spark alive in your marriage?" And they're like, "We haven't fucked in 4 years." But anyways,
He goes, "What's a spark?" He goes, "People will cheat when there is no spark." And he was like, "Damn, you're gonna tell it the
he's like,
Boys
"You
Lie?"
feel me?"
Yeah, he's like, when did that podcast episode air? Kyle giving crumbs like that? He's like, "I'll cheat if I don't have a spark." It's great. And then Amanda goes, she's like, "Or do you have to have a spark the whole time?" And I don't know where to think about sparks and stuff. I'm not so sure. But you know who had a spark their entire time? Martin Short and Nancy Dolan.
Oh, you watched it.
I did last night.
Isn't it the saddest thing of ever?
Might be one of the most beautiful documentaries I've ever seen in my life. It was every time Martin Short would put the camera towards Nancy Dolan, you saw their beautiful relationship that they had with each other. Talk about sparks. And the way everybody talked about their relationship was so sweet. And Martin Short has such an interesting perspective on life after dealing with all of that loss and then what he's going through now. I can't recommend it enough. Life is short. Everybody has to watch it. I have iceberg level knowledge of Martin Short. I love Jiminy Glick. I love all of his cameos, but I had no idea how much of the central force he is in all of his friends' lives and how much they love him. And his friend group, you were telling me, is iconic.
Yeah.
Spielberg, Tom Hanks,
Lawrence
Spielberg,
Kasdan.
Lawrence Kasdan. Dude, it was everyone. Steve Martin. Don't get me started on Steve Martin. They show footage. I don't even want to spoil it, but they show Martin Short and Tom Hanks recreating a scene from a famous movie. And it's like the rarest footage I've ever seen in my life with Spielberg directing it. It is so cool. Everybody has to see that. So it's what I was thinking when I said, can sparks exist forever? Yes, they can. Martin Short and Nancy Dolman.
Seriously. Speaking of Whitney and Kenny, they light my fire.
Absolutely. You could see sparks. Speaking of, did we say sparks? Yes. There might as well have been a sparkler on dessert that they got. Because they go on a date, and this is like you're in New York
Is
now.
it anniversary or birthday? I think it's Kenny's birthday. But we can be quick here because it's going to continue next week. It's almost like a tease. They're ordering wine. And as the person, it's a classic Bravo thing of the person is pouring wine while they're trying to have an important conversation, and she's trying to say,
Yeah.
I heard that you don't have a spark for me anymore, and he's like whispering to the server like, it's great, thank you, tastes good.
Yeah. The sommelier didn't know what the hell to do because it was like they left and then it looked like a more wine time. They don't know what to do. So I felt bad for them. They kind of interrupted the flow. And there was kind of a funny moment when Lindsay Hubbard at her diner, she looked back and the server was right behind her and she got really scared. She screamed at the top of her lungs because she got so scared by the server. So
Yeah. And then she was like, let's preemptively order a mimosa in case this conversation goes south. And they were like, okay, whatever.
yeah, they're like, you don't need an excuse. So then Whitney and Kenny goes like to to say what his rebuttal is, and they cut it immediately. And I know what the rebuttal is going to be. No, I didn't.
For sure.
I said this, and then why did Kyle say that? And Kyle telling Andrea that, I'm like, why did you tell Andrea? And then next week, Andrea's going to be like, he's like, love conquers all. He's like, if you love her, the truth will be found. I'm like, another lovebird,
Yeah.
Andrea.
Yeah.
And then what sorry, what else next week is happening?
Yvonne talking about having a baby, which we know she now does. Danielle talking about Owen, about people calling her a homewrecker. So maybe more on his timeline of his divorce or whatever. And then more Kyle and Amanda. So honestly, I thought this episode was pretty good.
Me too. No, don't let some of the rushed scenes. That's just because Amy and I have been recording for 3 hours and it's 90 degrees in my house. No. This was the best episode of In the City for me. I'm getting to know the cast members. I liked that park. Even getting to know Yvonne, I thought that was kind of fun. Kenny and Whitney stuff is interesting, and then the fact that they're going to be in real time addressing the scandal with those confessionals and stuff. It's now you can tell how easily they're going to weave the current scandal into this show, which is the best thing you could ever ask for this spinoff. So I loved it. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Great.
I can't quite put my finger on it, but we mentioned this before. It just feels like they're doing a better job of utilizing the city than the new Roni did. And I don't really know what it is, except maybe they're just like out on the street more, or like out and about in a way that's more interesting.
I was just going to say,
I don't know.
exteriors. I think it's exteriors. I think they really give you a sense of place. And Roni was all interiors for so long. I need the pigeons. I need the smoke coming out of the subway. I need all that stuff. I loved Kyle and Amanda walking on the street and coming out of those subway tunnels and stuff. So what can we say? It was great. This, obviously Summer House is so much more impactful. So Amy and I gave all of our hearts and minds and to that, but we still loved In the City. We hope this was a productive recap. Amy and I now I got to take a shower and, what's that called? Get ready for a huge watch party that we're having tonight, which I'm very excited about. I kind of am going to be just watching people's reaction to this reunion. So
they're going to love it. We're going to be hooting. Yeah. So yeah, this is a long ass episode. We haven't gone this long since back in the day when we were like once per week. So I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I hope you do. Don't get too mad at us. Like I said, I don't know what the fuck I said. I don't remember. So just come on, take it with a grain of salt. We love you all so much. If you heard about the watch party too late and you're in the LA area, where there's going to be one more at Untamed Spirits, so you could plan accordingly for part 3. So do that. Rate us, review, hype us up on YouTube. We love you so much. Join the Patreon. For $10 right now, you get access to all of the monthly movie episodes that we've done, and Spice World just dropped right now on Patreon. It's a wonderful conversation, right?
Oh yeah, you gotta check it out. Totally worth it.
Great. Well, we love you all so much, and we'll be back on Friday. Goodbye.
Bye.